And as you know, today, this morning, that the government of Dominica will be meeting the Diaspora, so they call it Diaspora Dialogue 2022. And the entire cabinet is already here. And CAPSEC, the cabinet secretary, is already at the podium, just about ready to start.
Okay, let me say good morning to all those listening to DBS Radio, Dominica, the Eastern Caribbean and abroad. And my name is Josette Seraphine Hetrington, and we are right here at the State House and ask Mr. As Cecil says, it is a Diaspora dialogue this morning. In fact, we have seen the place filling up, right?
Yes,
Cecil?
we have seen the arrival of the Prime Minister is already seated.
Yes.
Along with Mr. Blackmore,
Yes.
National Security. We have a number of
persons here.
Cabinet Secretary already in the seats.
We see the Speaker of the House,
Speaker
Mr.
of the House
Isaac.
also is here. And as we said earlier on, various ministers of government.
Yes.
Every year, Dominicans who live overseas are elated to come home during that period, and that they can have a dialogue with the government of Dominica or with cabinet. And we are aware 2 years ago when the last spoke, I think in 2018, when
That was the last one, yes.
was the last one, 2018, when they last spoke, there are a number of things that they made requests for, and we would be quite aware that a number of these things would have been. I remember one lady said that it took her 2 days to arrive here in Dominica.
That's right.
And now we know that there is a direct flight from Miami into Dominica, and I'm sure as they're coming in this morning that they will be listening, and themselves will be giving their contribution.
So as you said, that is about 2 years ago, like 2018, actually 2018. And some people may even forget about COVID already. But during the couple years, it was actually COVID prevented us from having that function. So now we have people, in fact, we have seen lots of people, foreigners, people from
I don't think they like to call themselves foreigners.
No.
They like
No, I was just going to say foreigners and or Dominican people. Yes, of course.
But sometimes,
Welcome in.
even if your siblings was born in the United States and you were born in Dominica, that sibling would also want to know that he is called a Dominican or she is called a Dominican.
Yes, and not only that, there are people who have just come and visit, and then they stay.
Right.
They go back to come back,
Right.
So we have to always, say this.
And there are quite a number of people already in here seated and waiting so that the actual program can start. We have the national anthem will be done by Tasha P. We should have also the arrival of His Excellency the President,
Yes.
Charles Angelo Savrin, and his wife will be arriving here. And also too, we have the welcome address by the Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business and Diaspora Relations.
And there's a performance, I'm not sure who they are, like where they're from, but it says patriotic dancers. And of course,
if we know about that, I'm sure Granby would be involved in that.
the capital city, right, for culture. And there will be remarks also by the Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Health, Wellness and New Health Investment.
And also we'll be having a ballet cultural dance from the cultural division. We will be seeing or be hearing a remark from the Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs.
And then we have presentation here by Mr. Samuel Johnson, CEO of the International Airport Development Company, and that would be very interesting.
That is very
Yes.
interesting,
Yes.
So quite a number of them who are here would get the hands-on information.
That's
as
right.
to with the progress of the building of the international airport, what has happened thus far, what will happen next year, I'm sure, around that
Definitely.
time. So they'll be giving a progress report as to exactly the situation of the international airport. And I'm sure that quite a number of them who are here are really here to really hear much more about the international airport.
And then we have the viewing of Hurricane Maria, and then and now.
That's important.
Very important.
Yes,
because, people forget things. People really forget things. I mean, it was so bad for Maria. They say, well, Dominica is not going to be back on until
20 years.
Yes.
Based on what they saw. And then the Dominicans who are here who did not have a chance to really be in Dominica
Yes.
during Hurricane Maria, who did not have a chance to even visit after Hurricane Maria, would have seen footages of what happened during Maria and where we are at this present time. That's important.
That's important.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival
Well, we're hearing
President
the
Charles A. Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre.
the arrival of the President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Mr. His Excellency Charles A. Savre, and his wife, as they now standing.
Please
in the
remain
car,
standing for the
and
national
we're going to hear the
anthem.
national anthem done by Tasha P.
Isle of beauty, Isle of splendor, Isle to all so sweet and fair. All must surely gaze in wonder at thy gifts so rich and rare. Rivers, valleys, hills, and mountains, all these gifts we do extol. Healthy land so like all fountains, giving cheer that warms the soul.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peltier. Please remain standing as we invite Monsignor Eustace Thomas to lead us in prayer.
Thank you for inviting me to share with you, and I do this in the name of the church. Let's create divine atmosphere. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Amen. Dieu éternel et tout-puissant, c'est vous qui fait gouvernement là, menez-nous ici, bon matin, pour parler et puis étrangers et dominicains qui viennent ici pour célébrer l'indépendance nous. Nous commandons pour la sagesse et puis courage, qu'on nous ait commencé à raconter ça là, en telle manière qu'après rapport à ces toutes différentes activités à ces pays, concernant les problèmes nous joignent, progrès nous cafés, en plus d'anticipation, projet nous jeunes, pour développer le pays nous, qu'on s'appelle qu'il y a une pièce mauvais sang, mais au contraire, nous expériencer l'esprit l'amour douce, qui conduit nous à dans une belle discussion. Au Saint Jésus, cyclone Maria et puis Covid, bah nous une belle place. Et même actuellement, nous pas tellement à l'aise parce que nous en saison coule vent. One nous cachons fort, nous pas qu'à mourir. C'est pour que nous commandons au béni, protéger et Jésus Dominique, gouvernement nous, tout le monde parlement, en plus de tout le monde ici. Et puis ces monde là qui est à côté nous, par toutes sortes de moyens de communication sociale. Nous pouvons dire assemblée, nous pouvons dire que l'assemblée ça qui vit la caillou, avec une différente compréhension qui n'est pas basée à ce que ça à ce radio là, mais à ce que ça et puis pas j'avoue. Concernant tout qui est fidèle à ce que le gouvernement là qui voulait nous réfléchir, ou à dire, yon seul Dominique, yon seul peuple, yon seul vision. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, you have brought us here this morning at the request of the government of Dominica to meet those who have returned home, especially for the forthcoming celebrations. We humbly ask for wisdom and support as we begin this meeting, that after the report on the various activities in our land regarding the obstacles encountered, the progress made, and the anticipation of other projects to continue the development of our country, animosity will be replaced by a spirit of gentle love, which will generate a general discussion. Oh Lord, we have been challenged by tropical storm Maria, COVID, and even now we are faithful since we are still in the hurricane season. Therefore, we ask you, please, to bless, protect, and heal our nation, Dominica. Protect our government, all parliamentarians, and those present here, as well as those who are listening through the different forms of the media. We pray that being here, all our returnees will leave this place with a better frame of mind, based not on what they have been hearing through the media, but on what they have seen and heard. And so all of us will be faithful to this year's Independence theme, namely, One Dominica, One People, One Vision. Amen. Do have a healthy experience.
Thank you, Monsignor Thomas. Please be seated. Your Excellency, Charles Savrin, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savrin, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Kenneth Daru, Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business, and Diaspora Relations, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Health, Wellness, and New Health Investment, other honorable members of Cabinet, Ms. Denise Edwards, Financial Secretary, Permanent Secretaries, Ms. Athenia Benjamin, Coordinator of Diaspora Affairs, Mr. Samuel Johnson, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, visiting Dominicans, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and all those who are viewing online, and of course those of you who are here in person. I do know that those who are viewing online wish they were in your places right now, but we would like to welcome all of you to this 2022 Diaspora Dialogue. We have had a bit of a break, of course, because of COVID, but we are back here. We are very happy to be back in Dominica. I'm sure you are excited to be here. And this morning is an opportunity, as we have done in the past, for members of the diaspora, visiting Dominicans, to engage with members of Cabinet. At this time, I would like to invite Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business, and Diaspora Relations, to welcome you.
Thank you, Capsec. Your Excellency Charles Savrin, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savrin, the Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, other honorable members of Cabinet, Ms. Karen Prevost, Secretary to the Cabinet, other permanent secretaries, Ms. Athenia Benjamin, Coordinator of Diaspora Affairs, Sir Samuel Johnson, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, and of course the main reason why we're gathered here today, our visiting Dominicans and friends. Good morning all. Let me, on behalf of the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica, welcome all of you to the annual meeting of Cabinet Ministers and the Dominican Diaspora. And while the term annual may sound a bit oxymoronic, because this meeting is taking place after a 6-year hiatus, it really had been a stable item on our independence celebrations calendar. Of course, we all know what transpired from 2017 until now. And I speak to the devastating Category 5 Hurricane Maria in 2017, followed by the still ongoing COVID-19 pandemic from 2020. But by God's good grace and mercies, we are here, and in extremely large numbers, I might add. And we are indeed elated to have you join us in celebrating our 44th anniversary of independence. But before I proceed, please indulge me in standing and observe a minute of silence in honor of the late Edward Regis, the late Minister of Diaspora Affairs. Thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure that were he here today, his trademark flavor and energy would have brought some extra bit of zing to today's proceedings, as only Ed could. Prior to his untimely passing, he approached his portfolio of diaspora relations with much zeal and enthusiasm. Rest in peace, Ed. Visiting brothers and sisters, this year we have put together an exciting calendar of events, and I would like to wish each and every one of you a safe and enjoyable independence season. This week, is Simen Kweyol, the most festive part of our celebrations, and it kicked off on Monday with the opening of TV Lash Kweyol to Bite Dominic at the Botanic Gardens. And this will continue until tomorrow, Thursday. This weekend will also feature the highlight of our festivities, the World Creole Music Festival, dubbed 3 Nights of Pulsating Rhythms, with the most exciting lineup of artists and bands. Interspersed amongst these events are numerous fringe events and activities, ensuring that you, our visiting brothers and sisters, and of course residents here, are offered a dazzling menu of entertainment dishes to choose from. But amid these festivities, and on a more sedate note, we are pleased to have included once again this meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers and the Diaspora. We think that this dialogue is ultra important for a number of reasons. The 6-year absence that we mentioned means that there's quite a bit of making up to do, and also because of the record number of Dominicans returning to visit during this independence season. In addition, your government is cognizant of the critical role that you, our overseas residents, have played and continue to play in our nation-building process. Your support to your homeland has not gone unnoticed, and we would like to thank you for never, ever forgetting Dominica. On this note, we would like to thank the many of you who mobilized resources to assist in our post-disaster efforts. And on a more personal note, and on behalf of my constituents, although I've done so many, many times before, your support to the Petit Servant constituency post-Tropical Erica, was indeed greatly appreciated, and I thank you immensely. This year, we have sought to put together a very compact and relevant program with the aim of ensuring a meaningful and productive dialogue between you, our diasporan family, and the Cabinet of Ministers, where factual information can be requested and received. And this is paramount, as we now live in a fast-paced, technologically advanced world, where social media and misinformation reign supreme. You are therefore encouraged to post questions or seek clarification to any concerns that you might have. All we're requesting, most humbly, is that we do this in a dispassionate and respectful manner, if this dialogue is to achieve its objectives. As you would have noticed, we also decided to flavor this year's event with a generous sprinkle of cultural presentations, patriotic songs, and a few cultural displays on the grounds outside, featuring, inter alia, some of our traditional cuisine, local and agricultural products. Some educational stands featuring some of government's key services, especially those of interest to you, our diasporan family, have also been set up at the back, and of course in the corridor outside. And this will provide you an opportunity to interact with various relevant public officials. My brothers and sisters, the 6-year interlude does not mean that we were idle, certainly not. We are in an advanced stage of putting together a national diaspora policy, one that will provide guidance to making public decisions on the key issues concerning the diaspora, such as investments, disaster recovery efforts, and the rights of generational diasporan Dominicans. Additionally, we have recently put together a Diaspora Advisory Committee made up of members of key associations around the globe, with the aim of establishing better communication channels between your homeland Dominica and your place of residence. In closing, my job this morning was very simple. That is to welcome you to this dialogue. So welcome back home. Welcome back to Waiti Kubuli, the Nature Isle. Welcome back to your land, our land of 365 rivers. The Tea Village Creole is just a few minutes walk from here. So we're encouraging all of you that following this activity to proceed in droves to the Botanic Gardens to patronize this wonderful event. Once again, welcome, and may God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth Darrow. As we prepare for the performance upcoming, the patriotic dancers, we welcome them to the front. I would just like to inform you, as the Minister for Diaspora Relations has indicated, with us today we have the National Bank of Dominica, the NCCU, the Immigration Department, Invest Dominica, Future Housing. They are to the back, and feel free to interact with them at the end of this session. We also have Dexia on the terrace, and they are showcasing local Dominican products. And as the Minister said, you can find much more of what is outside at Tea Village. So let me welcome at this time the patriotic dancers. This is a time of culture. This is part of the reason you are here in Dominica this weekend, and the patriotic dancers will now perform for us. This is a group of dynamic young people from the Granby.
I de wayo, weti la 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 la, ay ay ay, weti la 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 la, le mwen gade Dominic mo we yon power di. Tout moun kadi kuma Dominic Bell. Tout moun kadi Dominic Tini Montagne, ay 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 mama Dominic Kini life yeah. Le mwen gade Dominic mo we yon power di. Ay de wayo. Tout moun kadi kuma Dominic do. Tout moun kadi Dominic Kini bel moun, ay 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 mama Dominic Kini bel femme. Le mwen gade Dominic mo we yon power di. I de wayo. Weti la 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 la, ay ay ay, weti la 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 la, le mwen gade Dominic mo we yon power di. Tout moun kadi kuma Dominic do. Tout moun ka di Dominic Kini manje, aïe 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 mama, Dominic Kini dashin, le mwen gade Dominic mon we yon pa wadi. Weti la 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 la, aïe aïe aïe, weti la 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 la, le mwen gade Dominic mon we yon pa wadi. Tout moun ka di kouma Dominic bel, tout moun ka di Dominic Kini bele, aïe 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 mama, Dominic Kini kolte, le mwen gade Dominic mon we yon pa wadi. Tambouye mwen ou le kalaba mwen, tambouye mwen ou le laouye ba mwen, aïe 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 mama ou le kalaba mwen, le mwen gade Dominic mon we yon pa wadi. Tout moun ka di kouma Dominic dou, tout moun ka di Dominic Kini siwik, aïe 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 mama, Dominic Kini live le mwen gade Dominic mon we yon pa wadi. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais, jamais dans ma vie, jamais, jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais, jamais dans ma vie, jamais, jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon belle douillette, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon tête cassée, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon belle Dominic, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon nation, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon vision, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon belle Dominic, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon belle douillette, moi jamais pour yon belle jupon, moi jamais pour yon tête cassée. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Moi jamais pour Kalalou, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon Polksiwik, jamais. Moi jamais pour Agouloudou, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon go cry block, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon motoka, jamais. Moi jamais pour yon belle colte, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. Jamais dans ma vie, jamais. C'est Mr. Williams qui dit jamais, jamais.
Thank you very much, the patriotic dancers. And one thing you will observe as you move around during this independence season is the involvement of our young people in culture. I'm very pleased, very happy of the participation of our young people. So culture is not dying. It's very much alive and safe in the hands of our young people. At this time, I would like to welcome our Minister for Health, Wellness and New Health Investment, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, to address you.
Thank you, CAPSEC. Your Excellency Charles Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre, Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Reginald Austrie, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Kenneth Daru, Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business and Diaspora Relations, Honorable Raymond Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, other honorable ministers and members of Cabinet, Mrs. Karen Prevost, Secretary to the Cabinet, Permanent Secretaries, Ms. Athenia Benjamin, Coordinator of Diaspora Affairs, Mr. Samuel Johnson, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, visiting Dominicans, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, pleasant good morning to everyone. This morning, I just want to take you through a short journey through the transformation that has been taking place in health in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And first and foremost, I want to draw your attention. I won't be reading, I'll be explaining, so you maybe will get a better understanding of what we're doing in health. I'll just be explaining our first and foremost thing that we're going to build from down coming up, from the foundation. And the foundation really lies on the primary healthcare services that we offer in Dominica. And in terms of the primary healthcare, our first line of business is to get the infrastructure in place, an infrastructure that is climate resilient. And in that regard, we've built 12 modern, resilient, climate resilient health centers in 12 different villages, starting from Bagatelle to Soufriere to Newtown, coming all the way to Collyho, Georgetown in Portsmouth, in Wesley, in Penville, in Marigot, and but also we're in the process of building 3 more brand new health centers. That's the one in Savanpai, which is almost complete, and the next 2 would be the Rosa Health Center and the St. Joseph Health Centers. Now, every time we build better and we build stronger. So those in St. Joseph and in the Rosa Health District will have additions that weren't there in the previous 12 that I mentioned. For instance, in terms of stroke rehabilitation, in terms of a gym, and in terms of exercise, in terms of swimming pools, and all that's to get a better patient experience and better compliance, and obviously, ultimately, a better patient outcome as well. But apart from the infrastructure, and also within infrastructure, we have also the smarting of our health centers, which we have been doing together with PAHO. We did the La Plaine, we did the Grand Bay, we did the Massac, and we also did Trafalgar. And when you say smarting, in terms of ventilation, in terms of the water usage, the sensor taps, and in terms of harvesting rainwater, in terms of solar panels. So there's resilience in everything we do within health. And so that's regarding the infrastructure part of it. Secondly, we just come to the different services. Well, we have all the different clinics that we have at our health centers, and obviously our expanded program of immunization. To note, as a matter of fact, during the COVID, although we had COVID, we still managed to have maybe the highest, not maybe, but the highest coverage of HPV vaccine within the OECS, and that's about 84%. Although the students were at home and it was online learning, but we still managed to get 85% of coverage of HPV vaccine. And apart from this now, because now COVID also put us back a little bit in terms of some vaccinations, so in polio and all these things, so we have a new program that we're going to try to make sure that those who missed out on their vaccines during this COVID will be covered within that time. And to obviously prevent certain reemergence of polio and those ones, because many of us in the health service maybe have never seen a polio case, so we have to re-educate our staff again in those regards. And obviously our maternal health clinics continue, our environmental health. It is important to know that we haven't had any of these infectious outbreaks in Dominica over the past few years, even after Hurricane Maria as well. So praise to our environmental health officers. Our health promotion unit is also at this primary health care, our dental, our mental health. And in terms of elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis, we are among the 6 English-speaking, just 6 of us in the English-speaking Caribbean. That would be Dominica, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, and Dominica, that we have eliminated mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. So we haven't had this case in years, actually in more than 10 years. So, and that's a big achievement for that. We got certified by PAO for that, and we just have to keep maintaining our certification for the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. At our health center and the primary health council on that, that's the CNCDs and our HATS program, which is also, we do it in collaboration with PAHO, and just to manage all the different cardiovascular conditions associated with our non-chronic, chronic non-communicable diseases. And that is of significance because we know what the chronic non-communicable diseases, as the Prime Minister always says, this may be one of our biggest threats to our socio-economic development as a small island developing state. When you consider the complications and the loss of productive days, and just the whole social fallout from chronic non-communicable disease. So this is something that we've taken very seriously, and we have the strong political will to deal with this, and that is for the exact reason that we've actually, we have a coordinator, national coordinator for chronic non-communicable disease. That's the sort of importance and the significance we are putting as a government in the CNCDs. It's not just a Dominica thing, it's a worldwide thing, but we're tackling it head on, and that's the political will and the significance we've added to chronic non-communicable diseases, because we know how we can threaten our socio-economic development as a small island developing state, and in that regard, we recognize it has to be a multi-sectoral approach. So the Ministry of Agriculture is on board with us in this one because it's all about healthy food. The Ministry of Education is on board with us because of the school nutrition program. The Ministry of Social Government is on board with us because we have to get the schools and the sports groups and all the NGOs back on track so that we can fight the chronic non-communicable diseases in Dominica. And most of all, the community. So that is a major, major part for us because we have to deal with chronic non-communicable disease. It actually accounts for 75% of all deaths, not just in Dominica, but internationally as well. But with all of this I'm mentioning that we are doing in primary health care, there's also the legislative aspect to aid us in primary health care. So for instance, the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, which was passed at the WHO in 2005, and in 2007, the Port of Spain Declaration, where we're going to have, or try to have, a smoke-free region by 2022. Granted, we're in 2022, we've fallen back, the region has fallen back a bit, but that hasn't stopped us, and legislation is being put in place so that we can have 100% smoke-free indoor public spaces and workplace, and all as regards to large graphic signs, this you would not see in Dominica, and the total ban on advertising as well. And presently our tobacco excise tax is 22.7, but we want to bring it up to 75. None of the Caribbean islands have done that, but if you can get there, and all that is to stick with the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. And that's just some of the legislation that will help us in our primary health care and our fight against chronic non-communicable diseases. Besides the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, we also have the pharmacy bill, the medical bill, the allied bill, the medical professional bill, and the laboratory bill. You must be wondering why all these different. No, you must have these legislations for us to move forward so that we can regulate. So all that is part of the comprehensive approach as to how we deal with primary health care. There must be legislation so we can regulate, and then we can deal with the problem head on. In terms of our health system, well, we just went through COVID, and resilience is the term. It's all through our health system. And the unique thing about Dominica and the primary healthcare system is that we have 7 districts. And within our 7 districts, all our healthcare professionals live within those 7 districts. They don't come from outside and get into the districts. So if you have a health center, in our new health and wellness centers that I mentioned earlier, there's accommodation upstairs for the nurses. So the nurses actually live in the health center, which is a plus for us because many other regions in the Caribbean, they have their health clinics open from 8 to 4, and then the nurses go home. Anything else, you have to go to the hospital. This is not the case in the Commonwealth of Dominica. The 24 hours emergency service at every health center within our healthcare districts because our staff live within the district and in the health centers. And in each of these districts, we also have the environmental health officer, we have the pharmacy section, and we have all the different parts within that health district. And we have the regular surveillance meetings every week. So at every week, we have all the different heads of departments at the surveillance meeting. So if at all we were to notice anything regarding whether it's leptospirosis, whether it's diarrheal diseases, it can be dealt with immediately. So that is a more time-efficient way of dealing. And that is the Significance of those surveillance meetings so we can catch and trap things early and we can treat things earlier. As regards to surveillance also, it would be interesting to note that we were the first and only country in the region to have molecular testing for COVID-19 when the pandemic broke out. The only other place in the region that had molecular testing was CAFA in Trinidad, and CAFA is the Caribbean Public Health Agency. But as a small island developing state, we had molecular testing, and we were the only and the first to have molecular testing for COVID-19 when the COVID-19 broke out. Now, this is just to tell you how important surveillance is, and obviously with surveillance, that is how you can get resilience. So we have to have the surveillance to know what's happening, and our next step, obviously, is genetic sequencing, which we are working hard and trying to achieve so that we can be one of the leaders in that regard again. In terms of human resource with health, we've been working very hard at this. We have our 2 nursing schools, a private one, that's All Saints University, and we also have our Faculty of Health Sciences at the Dominican State College that we graduate nurses from. And well, we know nursing migration, it's something not unique to Dominica, it's over the region, all over the world, but nonetheless. And then when we met with Dr. Tedros of the WHO in Geneva earlier this year, he said the only solution was to just graduate more nurses. So basically that's our aim, just to keep graduating more and more nurses. Not only nurses alone, but even nursing assistants and all these other ones. But that is regards nursing, but also in terms of our doctors, we get a lot of assistance. We train our doctors from China and our doctors come from Cuba, and we have a vision in the sense that we're trying to be self-sufficient in all our different specialties. And that is why even in terms of hematologists, pathologists, nephrologists, all our ophthalmology, cardiology, angiology, and all the neonatology, we're getting all of these. We started getting them, but we're getting more of these coming home this year and next year. So we'll be able to have our own Dominicans managing our own special departments at our hospital. Now, and it goes further than this. For instance, just within our imaging department, we're actually self-sufficient. All our radiotechs in our X-ray department are Dominicans. So very soon we won't be having any others. We have 1 Cuba there, but 5 of them are actually Dominicans, Dominican trained, and they work within our X-ray department. But as the bigger picture, that's just one department. All the other departments, the intention is to have everyone trained, all Dominican trained, working within our healthcare system. In terms of lab technology, we know there's an issue there, so we've moved ahead with the Dominican State College, and we'd like to have a medical lab technology BSc program, which we hope to start next year. And that will, because there are only two places in the region that does that, that's Jamaica and Guyana. So if Dominica can be the third one, not only just to supply lab technologies for Dominica, but also for the OECS as well and other Caribbean countries. In terms of pharmacy technicians, we also have to supply pharmacies for our health centers, for our entire health system. And we have the PharmTech program at the Dominican State College. We've been graduating PharmTechs. And as a matter of fact, last year we graduated, is it 9 of them? And all of them are employed already. And we have another batch coming in this year. So we can be self-sufficient in that regard also in terms of human resource for PharmTechs and pharmacology. And we're going to bring this PharmTech program to become a BSc in pharmacy as well. All these things are just to deal with the human resource for health, which the government, we're having a very proactive approach so that we can have enough human resource. And that is what is building capacity is all about. Next, in terms of telehealth, obviously you cannot have a health system without advancing in the digital economy, which is an integral part of our government program here. And we have the OECS World Bank sponsored infrastructure health management system. We started in the last fiscal year, but we've moved one step ahead in the sense that we've partnered with PAHO, that we're having a pilot project that we're actually going to use 4 remote sites, that is La Plaine, Georgetown in Portsmouth, Maho, and Grand Bay, which will be connected to our Dominica China Friendship Hospital, and all this electronic information will be transferred in real time, and that's just in terms of efficiency. But we're moving ahead because the OECS programs started already, but it's not fully online. But we went ahead so that we're doing this PAHO program, so when the OECS one comes, we'll be here ahead of even all the other OECS countries, so that's just thinking ahead. And that's the foresight and the vision we're moving with. And then this telehealth system, which will connect all our health centers. So it's really a big vision we have, and I think we're going to pull it off, and we're very confident. We're well on our way in doing this. And it's based on standards relating to sharing of information, exchange of information between various systems, programs, and agencies. So for instance, if there were to be a birth at the hospital, that birth at the hospital goes to the health information system. That gets fed into the registry, and that will be automatically registered at the registry. So that is just the interconnection of all the different agencies and the different programs that can get together. And so that's how far-reaching the health information system can be. And obviously, if there's someone at a particular health clinic in any of the health districts, they wouldn't have to wait and get paper stuff from the Dominican China French Report, so everything will be electronically. So all your information will be there, your lab tests, your blood tests, etc. Then obviously, we have to complete the strengthening and governance and leadership of the, that's why we have the Dominican Hospital Authority. This bill was passed in Parliament about a year ago, and lots of changes. The whole intention is to have a better management system, a more accountable system, more transparent system, which will obviously lead into improved services and patient experience. The authority, there's a board, 9 members, and this board, we have different committees. We have the finance committee, the clinical committee, the quality committee, and all of these, they meet regularly, and then they give the instructions to the CEO, and the CEO is the one to execute on the ground. So we've had quite a few changes. Obviously, it's something new, so there'll be some teething issues, but we're dealing with these, and I think as time goes along, we'll just get better and better. And for instance, we'll have a theater committee to make sure that we have a public hospital, but we have to make sure that this public hospital serves the public first and foremost. So we want to get at least 60% of everything that's done in our theaters can go to the public, and the rest would be for the private sector. So that is just a way of us protecting the public to make sure that the public benefits from their public hospital. And and they're the ones, so, and then we have housekeeping. We have made little changes in housekeeping, adjusting the shifts, and in terms of decentralizing. So a lot of things going on at the hospital. So, but as I said, there'll be teething issues, so you just bear with us. We're getting there. It's a gradual process, but we know that's just, it happens with change. That's just part of change. At our hospital also, and that's all under the Dominican Hospital Authority, we have the Brenda Strafford Foundation Eye Center, and we got $1 million worth in terms of new equipment. And so for instance, in terms of cataract surgeries, the older way of incisions, etc., we moved away from this and we're doing phacoemulsification. So we're having the equipment to do phacoemulsification at our Brenda Strafford Foundation Eye Center. And these services have started off, and all the different surgeries have been going on. It's a beautiful health foundation, the Eye Center, and I think the Dominican public has been benefiting tremendously from this new eye center we have at the Dominican China Friendship Hospital. Apart from this, and we intend to make this a center of excellence within the region, because there's definitely no other eye center like this in the public system anywhere in the OECS. And then, apart from this also, we have the different departments that we started at the Dominican China Friendship Hospital. That's the cardiology department, and very soon we'll be getting some new software for our MRI, where we'll be able to have MRIs, prenatal MRIs done, so we can detect congenital heart disease in the fetus, which isn't done anywhere in the region either. And we also have our new urology department, and well-staffed there. Our gastroenterology department, fully equipped gastroenterology department, where all our endoscopies are being done, and our laboratory services. As a matter of fact, we're going to add, very soon we'll be getting what you call a Carl Zeiss microscope for our lab. So that is where digital histopathology comes in. So what happens here is everything that we do at our lab and our histopathology, this can be seen by any pathologist anywhere in the world. I don't think we have any of this equipment in the region as well, and that is the stage that we're getting to. And also in terms of our radiology department, we're fully equipped radio department, functional MRI, CT scan, fluoroscopy. We have 3 X-ray rooms, as I mentioned, and we're getting some portable X-ray machines that will also help us with the radiation dose structure reporting, which is very important because we know the stage we reach and we know what cancer can deliver us. So the machines that we have in actually will be able to deliver radiation dose structure reporting, which is very significant and important. But as Dominican China Friendship Hospital, and now we're the Marigot Hospital, soon to be opened, we got over 8 containers of equipment to get installed at our Marigot Hospital. We're just waiting for the vendors to come help us, because we purchased them from vendors to come and help us to set it up for us. And that is because we want to decentralize health, and let alone decentralizing health. We recognize and we know that we're going to have an international airport, so we need a pretty good state-of-the-art hospital close to our international airport. So that just shows you the vision and the foresight the government has had when we plan those things. Then, and obviously we'll open this in phases, of course. The inpatient phase will be the second phase, but the first phase, obviously, all the different services will be out. It's like a one-stop that you can get everything done. So no longer you'd have to come to Rosa to get to an outpatient clinic for surgery or medicine. All the outpatient clinics will be held at the Margaret Hospital. That will serve that entire, all the different health districts related to there. And all the x-rays and all the imaging will be done at the Margaret Hospital. Dialysis will be done at the Margaret Hospital. All the pharmacy and all the labs will be done there. So you no longer have to come to town to get those services done. Let alone, we've already studied that in Portsmouth. If you're in those areas, you don't have to necessarily, if you go through the public health system, you don't need to come to town to have a complete blood count or a chemistry test. That's been done at Portsmouth, even neurology and stool. But we want to extend it to Margaret so that we'll have 3 sites all over the country that we can have all those different tests done. And that's just the decentralization of health and the emphasis that the government puts on providing the healthcare to the people of Dominica. But with all these hospitals, obviously standards, very important. That is why we have engaged Accreditation Canada. Presently they're here. Actually, a team is here from Accreditation Canada, and they've been working with us because the whole aim is to that production capacity and health services, and also the norms and the standards in clinical service delivery. And because that's very important, if we have all this new infrastructure and we have all this new high-tech equipment in hospitals, the standards must be maintained. So that is why we've engaged Accreditation Canada with the bigger intention and the ultimate goal of having our hospital accredited. Not only our hospital, but even our lab accredited and certified. Honorable Douglas is smiling because recently he just got his microbiology lab, the only certified microbiology lab in the OECS. So that is good news for us. And obviously, Accreditation Canada will help us with capacity building and quality training and consultation. In terms of the Ministry of Health, which is also a very significant pillar and what we've been doing there, obviously in terms of governance and stewardship and the technical capacity, we've just completed, we finalized our National Health Strategic Plan and the implementation roadmap. And we have to deal also with efficient spending because we have to address the financial gaps. But obviously, we will not move back on our policy decisions that we have healthcare for those 60 and above and 18 below will remain free. So we will not touch that. We will adjust our financial gaps in other ways. And for that, for instance, in all the policies of financing Dominica Hospital Authority, because my service contracts alone at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital is $500,000. That's just the service contracts. So you can imagine these sort of finances we have to put into these institutions so that they can remain functional and functional at the highest level possible. So that is where we're going to come very soon with the admitting privileges rights so that the hospital, so that private doctors can be allowed to use the hospital services. Obviously, you just have to pay the hospital authority. But that is just from the private point of view. The public of 60% will remain, so that will not deter and that will not affect the services we give to the public on a whole. But that's, I give you a little quick view of what we're doing in health and how we're moving ahead. But these are just the different trees, and you have to recognize that these trees make a forest. So you cannot see these in isolation. Everything works together. And the Ministry of Health is also another tree within the bigger forest of what the government is offering. So I haven't mentioned, but I'll mention it now, that that's health. But there are other social determinants of health that will affect people's health. This is where our housing revolution comes in. So better housing. This is where eradication of pit latrine comes in. It's all about sanitation. This is where we have 98% water coverage. So it's water, it's hygiene, it's housing, it's education. And these are the social determinants of health that can produce, that can bring forward a productive population. So you have to look at the bigger picture. When we do all these other things, they all affect health. And so we have health in all policies, just like we have resilience in all policies. And for those of you, I think many times when I meet you all, the concern is, well, Doc, when we come home, we want to make sure we have proper health services. So I'm giving you a view that, yes, when you do come home, you'll have proper health services. We know Rome wasn't built in a day, and we will continue to better our systems. As a matter of fact, you see what COVID did. COVID just exposed even the most developed countries as regards how they handle COVID. So much less for a small and a developing state like ours, and I think we did exceptionally well. Our health services did exceptionally well. So, and to be honest, I mean, only a fool leans upon his own misunderstanding. We know there's always work to be done. And we know we haven't reached the ultimate goal yet. So we keep striving and we keep striving. So bear with us. We have your back and we know what we're going to do. We have a plan for the healthcare system. We've started already. It's a gradual process. We're well on our way. So when you come back home, even if you come back home now or later, we're ready for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre. For those of you who followed in the diaspora over the last 2 or 3 years during COVID, Dr. McIntyre was often the bearer of bad news. But it's so good this morning to hear him bring all of this good news on the progress on healthcare in Dominica. Thank you very much to Honorable McIntyre and your team at the Ministry of Health for guiding us safely through this pandemic and allowing all of us to be here this year to celebrate our independence. At this time, we are going to share even more of our culture with you. We will now have a performance by Belte Dominic and the members of the Triple K Band. Let's make them feel welcome. Belte Dominic is a new cultural group, I believe from the Roseau area, and we would have seen at the opening of Independence the fusion of the contemporary artists and our traditional media. Belte Dominic and Triple K Band. Another round of applause. Thank you very much. This excellent performance from Belte Dominic and some of the members of the Triple K band, backed by a few members of the Pidit Sava and Jingping band, I believe. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for them again. And I think they just learned these dances in a few weeks, taught by the Belte Dominic team. At this time, I would like to invite Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, to address us.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Your Excellency, Charles Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and your wonderful wife, Mrs. Savren, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Speaker of the House, Senior Minister. Let me also recognize the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Darrow, the Minister for Health, Dr. McIntyre, other cabinet colleagues, Secretary to the Cabinet, Acting Financial Secretary, other permanent secretaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Dominican people, Sakafet. Thank you very much, thank you very much. After 2.5 years, you have to be more excited than that. Thank you. Firstly, let me say it's an honor to be here this morning to give you an idea. I know one of the most burning issues for you, those of us living overseas, because you're Dominican, notwithstanding where you live, in a part of the world, has to do with the new e-passport, that is to say the electronic passport. But before I go into the details of that new passport, as you drove coming to the State House, you saw improved roads in this country, isn't that so, from the airport, isn't that so? And now you're sitting in a spectacular environment, the State House. Put your hands together for our Prime Minister. And of course, put your hands together for the Dominican Labour Party administration. Merci, merci, merci. And very soon you will drive towards our new Dominica-China Friendship Hospital. Those are only some of the indicators you can use to say how far we have gotten over the past 44 years. But also, the migration from an antiquated passport to a new passport is one of the barometers also that can be used as to how we have progressed as a nation over the past years. If I were to go back to before 2005, 2006, when I moved to immersion with a passport, and please do not accuse me for walking in my briefcase with Dominican passport. They are all specimen. Give you an idea, when you transfer to the immigration department as the head of the immigration department, one of the prerequisites, you had to have a nice handwriting. Because when a passport books were printed, your name, your date of birth were inscribed by way of someone's handwriting. So in 2005, 2006, thereabout, your Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, and your government recognizing the importance of having a secured passport because it is used as a means of identification. So when you or myself present ourselves to the various ports of entry overseas, the authorities have to be sure that the passport presented by Rayburn Blackmore belongs to Rayburn Blackmore. And the person therefore presenting himself is indeed Rayburn Blackmore. So therefore the document, the book, has to be done in a way that will make it difficult for it to be actually fraudulently issued or duplicated. So we moved from that, and there was no pocket in your pants or your shirt that could have accommodated those antiquated books before your administration came into office. So we moved to this. We call it the Immersion Readable Passport, 2006. But that again with the advance of science and technology, if all the crooks emerging over the world, those also can be duplicated with almost utmost ease. So, there's an obligation globally for member states to have a more secured form of passport. And the way to go, therefore, is what we call the e-passport, the electronic passport. So, in 2021, in July, we launched this new e-passport at a cost of $6,050,000 US. So it contains a chip, electronic chips, that contain all the visual biodata information that you see on the front page is contained in that chip. And it is signed in a secured manner with a Dominican key. And only 2 persons have access to that information, and not the minister, although by law, the minister is responsible for the issuance of passport. Having said that, we were futuristic in our planning. So what we did, we made provision for what we call mobile kits, 5 of them. Free, that can be used the same way if you were to go to the immigration department. Your photographs can be taken, and you can actually apply for a passport using those mobile kits. So what we have done thus far, we have been to various localities within the country, and people were able to apply from the various communities and districts with the utmost ease and comfort. And to date, 942 people locally within the various communities, not having to come to Roseau. So if you're from Vacas, Toronto, you can save that little $20 you would have spent under normal circumstances to come into Roseau and apply from your doorstep in your various communities. That is what the Labour Party administration is all about. And I'm very happy for that initiative. We also are very much concerned about you living overseas. So we also made provision for you. And then we had 2 teams of trained police officers accompanied by the coordinator, Ms. Valda Powell. And thus far, we have been to St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, and the departments of St. Martin, both the French and the Dutch side, and 609 Dominicans were able to apply for the passport in those various localities. We know a number of you are living in the United States. We know a number of you living in England. So provisions will be made in a similar fashion to bring to your doorsteps in Toronto, in Florida. We're looking at Houston, Texas, to give an opportunity to apply using those mobile kits. But of course, we have something even more permanent that we are contemplating and that will be implemented in due time. And that is where we have our mission offices. That is to say, in London, in UAE, and also in New York, we shall be having permanent workstations, which means, therefore, you'll be able to go to these embassy mission offices to apply in a similar fashion as if to say that you were in Dominica. The only thing is that because of the security imperative, passports shall only be issued at one centralized location, and that is to say in Roseau. So when you apply at those various mission offices, when the workstations will be actually installed, we'll have connectivity by way of the internet. So all that information instantaneously will be transferred to the office in Dominica, and your applications will be processed in quick time. That is what your administration and your government has been contemplating thus far by way of an improved e-passport. In terms of physical space, because when we launched the program, initially we said you had a 2-year period of time to have applied for this passport, sorry. But you'll appreciate that we belong to a global order, is not so? You'll appreciate the fact that just recently St. Lucia launched its new e-passport, because the international community is saying to us that you must have those passports. If you don't have those passports, it'll be difficult for our nationals to enter various international centers. The only talk here about people who are saying what, scary, you know, those want to make money out of passports and just fuss nothing else. It is so unfortunate. Let me just tell you the facts, because the Labour Party administration is not about BEF, it's about facts. Now, one of those books cost the state $58 US and 50 cents. We have not increased the price, or the fee, sorry, I hate to use the word price. It's not a commodity that you're selling. But the fee remains at $150 if you're 17 and above. So when you do a maths of $58.25, 50 cents, sorry, plus you have to pay police officers. One of the things we had to do is, notwithstanding that we had to actually increase on the space capacity at the immigration department. If you were to drive next to the immigration department, you'll see a nice structure, and that because we have more workstations, we actually hired to date 6 additional or retired police officers, 5 civilian staff, to actually augment the human resource capacity and to ensure that your application, everything that you try in any new endeavor that you're undertaking, problems will emerge. The important thing is to have systems in place to manage and to solve those problems. And that is why we have been able to have additional space at the immigration department and also additional manpower. To date, we have issued, let me just give you an idea, a breakdown of what we have issued so far. We have issued 51,200 regular books so far. No, let me just take it over. 50,825 books have been issued so far. And if I were to give you the breakdown of those, regular passport, that is to say the regular passport, those like that, they're not diplomatic or service passport, 50,560. Official passport, 40. Diplomatic passport, 95. And seaman passport, 130. To date, we have received a total of 51,200 regular passports from our suppliers. And we're hoping, of course, in our initial contractual arrangement with Canadian banknotes of 103,000 passports, because we have more Dominicans living overseas than in Dominica. And so we are catering for you who are living overseas to ensure that you have an advanced passport. So when you go to the various ports of entry, and you can just swipe a passport with style and walk just like anybody else. And that is very important. So I wanted to say that. And then what do you need when you're applying for a passport? If you look on the screen there, you'll see for yourself. Your birth certificate, passport size, photographs. If you're married, please, with the proper name. If you're married with the proper name, you need your marriage certificate. A lot of times you come with a marriage certificate, but it is different to what we have on the application form. And because of the smart system that we have, it's not the police officers now issuing a passport. The system will reject it. So if your pictures are not taken in a particular way, there's a scanner that is embedded in the system to do the visual analysis. Because we hear a lot of things about fingerprint. But in advanced technology, the way to go is facial recognition. Even if somebody put on makeup, the characteristic remain the same. If you have surgery that's something different, you will change it. But you can put how many makeups you want. A pound and a half on your face, whatever. Don't laugh, no? It will be captured. So that is how smart the technology is right now. And that is the direction that your government is proceeding. So ensure that you have those information. And there are some of us with children who were born on 1978 or after 1978, but they were born outside of Dominica. But if you're a naturally born Dominican, a father or a mother, your child, having been born immediately before 1978 or after 1978, is a Dominican by descent. So when you're applying for a passport, that child's name has to be on one of the parents' birth certificate. And one of the parents' name has to be on one of the child's birth certificate. You understand what I'm saying? Because you have to be able to verify that. The system has to verify that. So many times people come and they say, okay, I have a child, my child, but there's no information on either the child's birth certificate that would indicate that Honorable Douglas is that child's father. I'm using his name because you won't get vexed. Okay? All right. We're bodies. We have to, you see? Oh, okay, let me put it in, Raven Blackmore is that child's father. Right? Okay. So there's information there. I mean, we have to laugh, make the world go wrong. So that's also very significant. So I'm not saying, because we have a number of cases where you have people who are applying on behalf of the children. And then if you have a grandchild does not qualify to be a Dominican by descent. We don't have second-generational citizens yet. It's not captured in our constitution. Okay, so we have to be mindful of that. So I have good news for you. If you want, after this session day, to apply for a passport, if you have the requirements, your picture, if you don't have a picture, we can take it for you right now. But if you have your old passport, your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, if it's needed, you can go right at the back there and speak to Inspector Hunter, and in grand style and in a modern way, we'll take your picture for you, and you'll be able to apply right there for your passport, as if to say you are the immigration department. So they're there. So for those of you who want some information as to what's the price or the fee, application fee for a child 16 and under, it is $75. So we have not increased that fee yet. We are thinking of it, so make sure you get your own before you increase it. Yeah. So also, you can go online. You can go online, it's on the screen there, and you can download the application form. You can make a payment using the government portal, e-portal. When you make the payment, the receipt can be downloaded. You can apply from any part of the world. We can still use the traditional method of application. You can send it directly to Dominica, or you can do it via one of the embassies overseas. So you can simply go online and do your application and also make a payment. So we're doing everything with you in mind, not only those of us living in Dominica, but we value what you have been doing for this country. Qui place au West la terre ou sont Dominicains? You're Dominican. You're Dominican. Some of you were Dominican before me. I came after you. You were Dominican before the Prime Minister. We came after you, so Dominican. So while you're here, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, in this beautiful country of ours, enjoy Dominica. Promote your country. Strengthen your country. Let us work to sustain this Dominican civilization, which is the best in the world. And do not cry down your country. Okay? Dominica belongs to all of us. And then, whenever the bell is rung, you have a right, just like when you come down, to do what you have to do now. For whoever you want to do it. But if you are smart, you know who you have to do it for. You can see with your very eyes that this country is on a path to dynamism. This country is on a path of prosperity. And to do that and to sustain that, you have to ensure that you give prominence to the work of the best political team this country has ever seen and the best leadership that we have seen in this country, the leadership coming from the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. So I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and may the good Lord bless you. But before I end, let me just recognize in the audience, I have to do so personally, someone who made me who I am today, former detective John Coffey. So nice to see you. Before you retired, you did your last foot patrol with me. You can recall that? Thank you very much. And it's so nice to have you back. And I want to say to you, from a recruit, this guy treated me so well. From day one, they said, you're not going anywhere. So it's nice to see you back. And what you said to me just now, you're so proud of your country. You're so proud of your people. So continue to be proud and continue to encourage others to be proud of this beautiful country, Dominica. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Blackmore. And again, to remind you that the staff of the Immigration Department, they are on site today, they are to your back. So at the end of this forum, feel free to visit them and ask all your questions, get your information, take your photos, and they will assist you. At this time, we would like to share with you some scenes of Hurricane Maria, then and now. Some of you, well, I think some of us in Dominica actually learned of what was going to be happening 5 years ago from you in the diaspora, because you probably knew in advance of us what was coming. And 5 years later, we have seen so much progress, and we would like to share with you a then and now video.
Just can't keep me down. Oh. Good morning. This one's called Still Standing. Yeah, 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 yeah. You must know, no. Oh, one Jaja with we, all bad things being if we, success is we praise, cause we blessed by the Almighty. No matter the storm, Jaja will find a way to guide us brightly, to guide us every day. I got options. DA, you're the top one. I never ever wanna see you fall down. I'm gonna give you all, we will rise. From the bottom to the top of the sky, we will rise, yeah. Like a phoenix from the ash, we will shine. We will rise, realize, we'll survive. Whoa. Realize, yeah, we still right here. We gonna make the whole world know we still standing. Oh, Dominica strong, I say, yeah, we still standing. Doesn't matter, right? Maria couldn't do us nothing. We still standing. Like a cock at 4 o'clock, still standing. Solid upon the rock, still standing. Above all dirty talk, you can never kill my sound. Yeah. You must know, no. If you remember Maria, watch. Saw the evil in the eye when I took a look at you. But I'd never recover from the badness that you spew. You lash, we try break, we and take all we money, but we keep on winning, cause we are not afraid. I got options. Say, DA, you're the top one. I never ever wanna see you fall down. I'm gonna give you all my love. Yeah. From the bottom to the top of the sky, we will rise, yeah. Like a phoenix from the ash, we will shine. We will rise, realize, we'll survive. Whoa. Realize, yeah, we still right here. We gonna make the whole world know we still standing. Oh, thank you, that's my time. Dominicans, come home. Yeah, we still standing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benji, our cultural ambassador. We are still standing. 5 years later, we were knocked down, but we were not knocked out. We are still standing today. If you would like more entertainment like this, we have the TV Lounge on at the Botanic Gardens. And just to share with you today, the focus is fashion and art. And the meat of the day is rabbit and goat. The cocktail of the day is Poti Jup Rouge. I'm not sure what that is, but I believe it is sorrel, syrup, white oak, watermelon, triple sec, lemon juice, and some other concoction. And the performers for today include Cicero singers, Pashi walk dancers, the Pebus drummers, flamboyant dancers, suburban, Simba orchestra, DJ Snow, Abia, Jerry Lloyd, and the Swinging Stars Band. And of course, the TV Lounge is brought to you by the government of Dominica, and this event replaces Flow Curl in the Park. It comes to an end with a big bang on Thursday from 12 to 7 And on Thursday, the theme is Mass in the Village. The meat of the day is pork. The cocktail of the day is quail tupa root. No, that's what it says, tupa root. Tupa root, right? Yes, quail tupa root. That's passion fruit infused, rum, lime wedges, bell pepper, and some other concoction. Again, I'm not sure what it is. And the performance for Thursday will include Gotalapo Cabwit, DJ Shy Star, DJ Rims, Mystery, Sour Sour, Sakislapo Cabwit, Tasha P, Daddy Chess, Trendsetter, Deli and Friends, Unstoppable DJs, and Asa Banton. So this is a prelude to the World Creole Music Festival from Friday to Sunday, which I know you all are all anticipating. And we invite you, after you leave here, to go across. In addition to this, there are a number of local businesses featured at the Tea Village. I've been there for the last 2 days, and you would be amazed at the number of products that we have manufactured here locally. We invite you to support our local producers, buy from them as much as you can, buy gifts for your friends and your family. We have a range of local juices, local rums, craft, fashion, art, everything you could think of that's made in Dominica, it is in the Botanic Gardens. So I invite you all to join us for these cocktails. And of course, it's a lovely ambience, lots of Dominicans, lots of friends, lots of you from the diaspora. And it's a good opportunity to, I think Ministry of Trade has a new phrase, buy Dominica, but eat well, live long, eat local, eat well, live long, something to that effect. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Samuel Johnson, the CEO of the International Airport Development Company, to make a presentation, a special presentation on the International Airport project. Mr. Johnson.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me here. All protocols are established, Honorable Prime Ministers, members of the Cabinet, His Excellency the President. A quick update on where we are next on the International Airport project. The project has been going on through what I call 3 major phases. One is the design, prepare for construction phase, the construction phase, and then finally the prepare for operations phase. So the past year we've been in what I refer to as the design and prepare for construction. So a lot of the work that has been going has been focused on the updating of the master plans for the airport site to ensure that the plans that have been developed are in keeping with the Civil Aviation Authority's requirements. So we've been going through a runway alignment, site location, the terminal location, sizing, facilities, and all the key functions that would go into the airport and the airport site. It is a greenfield development. Greenfield meaning that there existed nothing there before. And as you can appreciate that airplanes like flat land to land on and take off from. Dominica, I often kid with my friends and colleagues in the States that Dominica is the original NFL. No flat land, right? So we have a lot of the works that are going to be form part of the airport site is the development of flatland, building that platform on which the runway, the terminal, the buildings, and all the other facilities would comprise of the international airport side. So we've also been doing these designs and development not in isolation, not in a back room, in a dark room, but in direct consultation with all key stakeholders of the airport. So that includes folks that like the fire and ambulance, which is a key component, your customs, immigration, air traffic control. And then in parallel with airport development, we've also been doing an aggressive route development program. How many of you flying on the American Eagle direct from Miami? Right, we'd love to get a lot more of those by the time 2026 rolls around, so that the strategic intent in that you do a shift and lift, right? So it makes the whole conversation a lot easier in terms of getting new airlines coming into Dominica. So I'll just give you a quick synopsis of where we are, give you a sample of the terminal designs, the layout, just so you get a look and feel, and at some point in the future we can dive a little bit deeper into some of the details. Okay, next please. So the site as laid out is a 2,850 meter runway, 2,850 meters. That's just about 9,900 feet, thereabout. And for the average person, what does that mean? How does that compare? When you look at our sister islands to the north and south of us, St. Vincent, which is the most recent international airport built, is actually 2745, sorry. So a little bit shorter than ours. Similar for Grenada, similar for St. Lucia. So we are a little bit more than our neighbors in terms of the runway. And why is that important? Because we are building this to provide a facility that will enable direct flights from key destination, key source markets, right? So you'd want to be able to go direct to UK, you want to be able to go direct to any city in the United States of America, not just Miami. One of the things that we've encountered with the direct flight from Miami is you have to get the right aircraft, right, to be able to to land into Douglas Charles. We want to ensure that there are no operational encumbrances when we sit to discuss with airlines about coming to the destination. We only want to sit with them and talk to them about our food and our culture and our music and our sulfur spas and health and wellness and all that stuff, and ensure that the facility that we've developed does not form a critical part of the discussion as it is today, right? Because of the limitations that we experience with Douglas Charles. Next page, please. As part of the preparatory works, we've been undergoing site investigations just to make sure that the soil type in the area, we have to have a better understanding of what it is that you're working with. There are some that think that you find the perfect soil type in the perfect location and voila, you get an airport. No, you have to make do with what you have in the right area that you have. So a key component of the site location was to ensure that there was an unobstructed access, landing straight on and departing straight out with no obstructions, and also to be able to get that length of runway. And what the work we're doing now with the geotechnical studies, of which we've done over 168 boreholes, is to get a good understanding of what the bearing capacity of the soil in every 60 meters square on the entire site. And why is that important? We want to ensure that not only can it bear, but the material that we cut, we can know what can be used for fill, right? Because, as I said, we have no flat land, so we have to cut mountains and fill valleys. So you need to ensure that where you cut, the composition of the material is such that it can be used to make up for fill. And if it's not, then what sort of mixtures or what admixtures can be put into it to ensure that it's brought up to standard. Next. So this is the latest and greatest render that we've had on the terminal. And one of the things that we've tried to do is we're not looking to have the biggest airport in the region, but we want to have the most functional airport, the most practical airport, and the most customer-friendly airport in the region. I think as a people, we are known for friendliness. We want to see how we can ensure we can incorporate an ease, a frictionless passenger experience. So a lot of the upgrades that we've made to the terminal and even to the additional facilities on the airport side are to ensure that passenger experience from both check-in and even while waiting. We've added a much larger executive lounge, of which there is one actually at Douglas Charles, in case you're not aware of that. But we've added an even bigger one in the new airport for your business travelers and those looking for an upgraded experience. In addition to an expanded retail facility, so we spend a lot of time in ensuring that we have duty-free facilities arriving and departure as you would in any first world airport, because a lot of folks, when they speak of an airport, they don't talk about the cargo handling facilities or the wonderful airport fire rescue services. The image of the airport really is the terminal. So a lot of time was spent ensuring that we got the terminal right. Although by 2026 we hope that we will be fully green energy and geothermal powered, we've still tried to incorporate some solar as auxiliary green energy, if you will, for the site. The parking lot, everything was designed so that we can make it as efficient as possible. So that's just a shot from the front facade. We've tried to incorporate covered parking because Dominica, the rivers flow because it rains. So we've ensured that we've had parking and covered parking and good access as close as possible to the terminal to ensure that that transit out and back in is as smooth as possible. Next slide, please. So this is another shot from the front parking lot of the terminal. And one of the things that you'll see is that we try to walk the line between being modern and contemporary, whilst ensuring that we are true to our resilient goals, right? Because hurricanes tend to come around this spot, so we need to ensure that we can respond to it and have a building and a structure that can stand up to it. So finding that right balance between the amount of glass that you want, and actually one of the renders we had initially was all glass. And then we had to cycle through it, and now we have something, I think, that meets that goal of being both resilient and contemporary, and something that has the aesthetics. Next slide, please. Another view, just to give you a sense of proportion. This would be from the drop-off area. Next. And then this is actually another cool part of the upgrades that we've done, in that in addition to having 5 passenger boarding bridges where we can accommodate 5, what do we refer to as Code C aircraft, that is your Boeing 737 or your Airbus A320, A321. We also have the flexibility of simultaneously adding for your wide bodies, your Boeing 777s, your Airbus A350s, which is what you would typically find coming into the region from Europe and the UK. The A350 in particular, when we were doing the specifications on the length of the runway, has the capability of doing direct to Asia, Beijing, as far as Beijing and Dubai, if necessary, with a minor impediment on the cargo hold, but full passenger load. In addition to, we've also ensured that we catered for the regional traffic, because not everyone will be flying to New York and Chicago and San Francisco, or London or Munich or Frankfurt. We also fly to Castries and Bridgetown, Barbados, and St. John's, Antigua, and Martinique. So there's some of the regional connection to the terminal. We've ensured that there's covered walkways going to the parking areas for the regional aircraft, that being your ATR 72s and ATR 42s and the like. Yeah. So that really, from a passenger arrival experience, would be something that they would see. Next page, please. This gives a sample of the interior of the terminal. again, trying to ensure that we include as many kiosks, because although we've been focused right now heavily on the check-in counters, you would see increasingly that people are checking in on their mobile phones. And increasingly, if you fly out of JFK and even Miami now, we are including a lot of biometrics. So you walk up to the gate, you take your picture, and that's your boarding pass. So by 2026, who knows where we'll be, but the intent is to include as much of this new technology as possible. So whereas we're focused on having the check-in counters, the kiosks, but we also need to think ahead as to where we want to be. One of the things Dr. Mark, the project coordinator, keeps telling us that we're not designing for the next 5 years or the next 4 years or the next 10 years. We might not get another bite at this apple for the next 30 to 40 to 50 years. So we need to ensure that we think long term and ensure that even the size of the terminal as designed is much more capacity than we need now. But it's designed in such a way that it has the space that is optimal so that we can grow into it, right, as over time. And one of the things that we've done on the interior, and you try to see some of it here, is that we've tried to incorporate green walls, water features, which are emblematic of Dominica, right, in terms of the greenery and the foliage and the water that we're known for. Next. It's a sample of the baggage claim. Next. One of the areas that we spent a lot of time on as well is the runway. If you were to look at the first picture, the runway cuts across the road that goes from Woodfordale, going on to Woodfordale and then on to Portsmouth on the north. So we actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out what is the best way, right? And finding the optimal location of a tunnel that goes under the runway to ensure that the villages of Woodford Hill and Wesley stay connected. So if you wouldn't have to make an inordinate drive around to continue a journey. So it makes it very simple. We've added a roundabout. So this is coming from, and this is your existing main road here, right? So you come to roundabout, go to the terminal, or if you're coming back, you could go back to Roseau or go through the tunnel to go to Portsmouth. As simple as that looks, you will not begin to believe how much discussion and how many points of views there are on that pretty picture. Okay, next. In addition to the actual airport preparatory works, we've also been developing a site project office, right? So that's something that's ongoing. And we've also built a lab, because the lab is intended to monitor the quality of the works. So one of the things that IEDC, the organization that I'm in charge of, is charged to do is working as a quality assurance role. So you have the contractor, the developer, and so I think there was a song about who's guarding the guards. Well, we're supposed to be guarding the guards to ensure that the quality control program and the tests and the frequency and the works that are being done are in accordance with the expectations of the client, Government of Dominica. Okay, and working closely with the Ministry of Public Works, ICPS. Rory is shaking his head. We are leveraging all the resources of the state to ensure that the final product is one that we can all be proud of, all right, and one that can bear fruit and live up to the expectations of the people of Dominica. Next. This is probably extremely tight, but we can skip through it. What it says basically that by end of year 2026, we will be commissioning a new international airport. Next. Again. Next. So these are just some renders that they shared. I just sort of slap it together and give you guys a view. Next. baggage handling system. So one of the when you talk to folks who commission airports, one of the biggest headaches in terms of starting up operations, believe it or not, is not the coordination of the airplane, but it's the coordination of the baggage. And ensuring that the right baggage gets on the right plane and vice versa. So that is another area that a lot of time has been spent on in terms of coordination. I think that's it. Go on. Go on. Yep. So a lot of baggage handling pictures. Okay, so that is it in a nutshell. Thank you for your time. Look forward to questions.
Thank you very much to Mr. Samuel Johnson. You can see why he's the CEO of our International Airport project. And you have received a lot of details about this project. At this time, we would like to welcome, to give the feature address, the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, as he speaks with you this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me, first of all, recognize our President, His Excellency Charles Savre, and Mrs. Savre, Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Reginald Ostry, our Senior Minister, Minister for Housing, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Business and Diaspora Relations, Honorable Reuben Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, our Minister for Health, Wellness and New Health Investments, my other cabinet colleagues, the cabinet, Secretary of the Cabinet, Permanent Secretaries, Ms. Ophelia Benjamin, Coordinator of the Diaspora Affairs Unit, and just to say that effective December 1, 2022, that Ms. Benjamin's position will be upgraded to the rank of Ambassador to highlight and heighten the importance of the Diaspora Desk and the importance which the government places on the diaspora relations. I also want to recognize and thank Monsignor Eustace Thomas for praying for us and with us, and of course to the most important people in the room, those of you returning home for this year's independence. So happy to see so many of you here and the thousands who are coming down to celebrate our independence, our 45th anniversary of independence. And of course the members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good morning. It is for me a profound pleasure to be in your company this morning. I want again to welcome all of you to your home, to our country, Dominica. Thank you for accepting the invitation to meet with your government to discuss the pertinent matters affecting your homeland and the lives of your family members and relatives who live here in our country. Let me take this opportunity to wish you a happy 44th anniversary of independence. Truly, my dear friends, this is a most fitting occasion to dialogue with you as we reflect on collective achievements as a nation state since independence and look ahead for a future that is bright with promise. I am sure your presence in Dominica for this year's independence is especially meaningful. 44 years of independence is a significant milestone in the history of any nation. But our celebrations this year are almost special as you reunite with loved ones after 3 years away and indulge in the richness of the Dominican culture and heritage. And all modesty aside, nowhere in this world does independence better than us in Dominica. Nowhere is the Creole culture more vibrant than in the Nature Isle during the month of October. Our embrace of our heritage, customs, and traditions reflect an enduring pride in our country and the patriotic fervor which burns within us, even if we have built lives elsewhere. And sometimes you are even more Dominican than those of us who live here every day, you know. Dominica has shaped us into a people of dignity, full of pride and honor. And so this visit is an opportunity for you to rediscover your homeland and reignite your deep and abiding love for the country of your birth. Today's gathering was planned to engage you directly on matters of development in a forthright and honest manner, devoid of the negative overtones which seem to color our national discourse in recent years. It is an opportunity for frank discussion on the role of the diaspora community in national development and how we can tap into your skills and resources to further advance our development agenda. As a government, we recognize that a wealth of capacity and knowledge reside with you, and that in planning for growth in key sectors of our economy, it is important to hear your ideas and determine how best we can consolidate our resources for the betterment of our country. And you just listened to the CEO of the International Airport Development Company. He resided in the diaspora, and we brought him on to lead the development of our international airport. So we are serious about engaging. The Dominican Republic government has always valued the important role you play in national development, evident with the establishment of the Diaspora Desk in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to give special focus to diaspora relations. We recognize and are grateful for your invaluable contribution to the economic life of this country through the regular remittances sent to your families, spent on essential goods, healthcare, and other services. And the fact remains that many of you have very beautiful, huge homes in Dominica, and many of you have many interesting bank accounts in Dominica as well. So you are no less a Dominican than those of us who reside in this country. But this government is of the view that you can play an even greater role in the promotion of trade and investment and the creation of businesses, as well as the transfer of knowledge and skills you have acquired over the years. So it's a really wonderful opportunity after a break caused by the COVID-19 pandemic for us to be able to interact and to speak and to converse as family members, because we are one nation, one people with one vision. And so, my dear friends, I want to highlight some very critical and important projects that this government believes will help in the continued transformation of our country. We speak of geothermal and renewable energy. This government believes that the use of our natural resources or renewable resources should be tapped into to improve the lives of our people. Now, if we continue to import fossil fuels, as we say now with the price going up on the international market, it's going to have a negative impact on every single citizen and business in Dominica. And so while the geothermal project has been extremely costly to the government, we believe that it is a project that the government should continue to pursue, because the attendant benefits of this is going to be tremendous. And so you would have seen through communication several pieces of equipment going up to Loda to continue the process of tapping into the geothermal resource. Because it's our intention by 2030 to be completely reliant on our renewable energy resources to provide electricity and energy to our people in Dominica. And And this is why it was so important for us as a government to have the controlling shares, the majority shares in Dominic. And because we are in a better position to direct it policy-wise so that it can be parallel with our national energy thrust. And just to show you how the majority shareholdership in Dominic is already paying benefits is in respect to the hydro power plant. When we came in, we indicated to Dominic very clearly that we have to pursue this and pursue it with vigor. And I want to commend the management and the board of Dominic for advancing the repairs to the hydro plant, the power plant, which is they're now running tests, and very soon it will be part on the grid. And with this intervention, the power plant will provide 30% of our energy to the grid. And of course, this will certainly see a reduction in the electricity bills of our citizens. And so with hydro and with geothermal, we believe that we're in a position to provide 100%. Of course, with some solar in the mix, we will be able to provide ourselves in this country 100% renewable energy in Dominica. And so it's a project that we're continuing, and one can appreciate the impact on tourism. You know, with hotels, AC running 24 hours, with a manufacturer needing, lots of energy to produce and add value to its crops, one can understand the cost to businesses. And so we have no doubt that God's willing, with all the success in renewable energy, we can see a propelling of the economic fortunes of our country. And so we are very committed to this. You just saw the presentation at International Airport. When we came into Dominica, and sometimes we always need to put things in context, because people look at now and sometimes we forget yesterday. Where was Dominica yesterday? Everybody's looking to see where they want Dominica to go to. But to know where you're going, you must know where you were. And you must know where you are today to appreciate where you need to go and so forth. Because there are lessons that we have to learn from the past. And so, when I became the Prime Minister of this country in 2004, no planes could land in Dominica at night. We had no night landing. And we were the only country with no night landing. And I was just 41 years old. And we said the long-term solution to air access into Dominica is the international airport. But there are some things that we can do to address the short and medium-term solution to air access in Dominica. And many of us, we were sitting on Liat, and there's a delay, and they come to say, well, those of you who are going to Dominica, you have to deplane because by the time you get to Dominica, it will be too dark. And we will take our little bizawell, our little bag, and shamefully walk down the steps and go back and to check in into some little hotel in Antigua. And we have seen the benefits of night landing. We have seen the benefits of extending the Douglas Childs Airport. We extended the Douglas Childs Airport. We improved the terminal buildings to allow for bigger aircrafts to land, and also for night landing. So the country's opening hours was extended. But you also understand, with regards to building an international airport, the sheer cost of this. And the World Bank will not give you money to build an international airport. The Caribbean Development Bank will not give you a loan to build an international airport. They won't give you even a loan to do the feasibility study. So how do you go about financing the international airport? And we've always indicated that the country will never be able to afford, by way of loans, to build the airport. So what we started to do some years before Hurricane Maria, we started to save $5 million every month, with the hope of saving that we'll eventually have enough funds, utilizing the Citizenship by Investment Program, to build international airport. And that was the first serious attempt by any government to signal its commitment to build international airport. By the time Hurricane Maria hit, we may have had about $200 million in that fund. Obviously, with people having no homes, no jobs, no revenue coming in, we had to buy food to feed everybody. I could not leave the money in the bank and people hungry. I could not leave the money in the bank and people homeless. I could not leave the money in the bank and people had no jobs. I spent the money to keep people alive and going in the meantime. And I was criticized for it, but that is what any responsible parent would do. No parent is going to have their children hungry or sick, and then you have a fixed deposit and you're fit to break it. You're going to break the fixed deposit. And so this is what we did. And we decided now to redefine our approach to it. Because if we go back to save everyone, it will take us too long. Or longer, rather. And so we have partnered with a developer called MMC to build international airport utilizing the Citizen by Investment program. What that means is that when the airport is completed and the good Lord loves this country, and I am satisfied that this good Lord will cause the international airport to be constructed and built in Dominica. Because we are not doubting Thomas's, we live by faith. And we live by the grace of God and the word of God that he says he shall provide. And provide, certainly he shall. And so I tell people I'm just an instrument that the Lord has given. We give God all the praises for what's happening now. Just instruments. And so we decided to use this TBI funds, this TBI program, to build the airport. Now, once this airport is built, nobody will be paying for the airport because there'll be no loans. No loans. Not the current generation, not the future generation. No loans. We're building this international airport with no sovereign guarantee. The contract has been signed. The contractor has been paid in excess of $75 million as mobilization, US dollars, as mobilization. The contractor is mobilizing all of the necessary equipment and so forth to come into this country in the month of December, God's willing. And so the liability is that of the developer, but the project, once completed, will belong to the people of Dominica. And I don't have to tell you the ultimate benefits of the international airport. You know it, you live in developed countries, you experience it. And so we are committed to this, and let not no one tell you, my friends, and you know, on social media people talk a lot of stuff and so on, scary lying and so on, nothing gonna happen, and you know, it's just an election gimmick and so on, and you know, they put a billboard and so on. Well, the same thing is said about the stadium, the same thing is said about the hospital, the same thing is said about the one university graduate in every home. But there are doubting Thomases among us, and they want to see, and that's okay, they will see, and they will enjoy the benefits of the international airport. So we are working towards this. And this is going to be, and we say so with the greatest sense of humility, it's going to be one of the most modern airports you will find. And so, as the minister responsible for the airport, I have insisted that we add certain things to it to create more opportunities for people. So while you're waiting for your flight, you'll be able to get a pedicure and a manicure at the airport. You'll be able to get a haircut at the airport. We will have a plunge pool next to the business lounge, where if you want to take a dive in the pool while you're waiting, up to you. If you want to just soak off your feet and put your feet in the water while you wait, you can do that as well. You'll be able to get a massage while you're waiting for your flight. And so we are taking this thing to really the highest of levels in terms of the concessions at the airport. And while we are talking about the airport and building the master plan and we have COVID-19, we said we need to put a health facility at the airport. In the event that we have a pandemic and we have to isolate people, so on the airport there is a health center that will be fully outfitted in the event of any accident or pandemic. And the fire service wanted more rooms. We get them more rooms. We're providing adequate facilities for the customs people who will be sleeping out of the airport, etc., etc. So it will be a really amazing project and airport that will bring the sense of pride that we've all yearned for so many years. We've been trying to build an international airport since the 50s. I was born in 1972. So when people blaming me for not having an international airport, I mean, 1972. And it's scary, they have to wait to scare the airport and so on. But I just born. When I just born, you know. But we have to laugh and we have to engage ourselves, you know. And we have been also investing in tourism. And you hear people say, oh, we have too many hotels. We have too many hotel rooms. No, we have to raise the standard. We have to go the 5-star and the 6-star route because Dominica is becoming a place for high-end tourists, people who have money want to come and immerse themselves in the environment. And so we've utilized the CBI program, empowered quite a number of Dominicans because most of the hotels that are being built under the CBI program are owned by Dominicans, a fact that is not usually highlighted. Local Dominicans. The only hotel that is not built by a Dominican or developed by Dominican is the Kempinski. Empowering local Dominicans to be part of the economic independence efforts towards the economic independence of our country. Utilizing the CBI program to build rooms, upgraded facilities, and to ensure that when we promote Dominica, people can come places to stay and have decent places that they can stay that they see sometimes nowhere else. And so we're utilizing this thing. We are working on plans with regards to our marina that will enhance our tourism project. We're also building, and it has started, the longest cable car in the world. That cable car will take you up to the Boiling Lake, creating more opportunities. And so this is going to be a major attraction because there are a lot of cruise ships coming in, and this cruise season we're increasing the number of cruise people by 80,000 people coming out on the ships. But the reality is when the cruise ships come, there's still many people who stay on board. Because a man may have, you know, senior citizen may not be able to walk too much and he want to relax and so on. But many of you here, I'm sure most of you, if you had a cable car now, you would go visit the Boiling Lake. You would go. And so there are going to be so many attendant benefits and opportunities. I was saying to a tour guide who was saying, well, you know, I'm not in favor of the cable car because it might take business from me. I said, no. I said, instead of you walking 5 times up the Boiling Lake, you'll be on the cable car telling people, this is Mont Anglais, this is that, this is flora and fauna and so forth. This is Grand Fort in the distance there. And you talk about Chimay-Létan and all the people used to walk through that road and to go to Roseau. You'll have more opportunities to make money. And you don't have to walk every day. There'll be people who will still want to walk it. And so you give opportunities. You see this in the United States. You go to a place in the United States and you have escalator taking you up and you have elevators taking you up. If you want to walk and play martial, you walk. You know, show people your feet and you're strong, fine. But you walk. You understand? You go to the airports, you escalator, you want to run up the stairs, go up the stairs, but you have an option. You cater for everybody. Because you have people who might be physically challenged, who want to enjoy the same things we enjoy. And how do you get them to enjoy these things? So we can't always look at life from our selfish perspective. We must look at life from other people's perspective, and then we encompass everybody, including ourselves. And so we look forward to the completion of this cable car. And so we also investing heavily in agriculture. We have set ourselves a very ambitious target, but a target which I believe, if we all work together, we can achieve. Agriculture currently contributes about, let's say, about $300 million to the GDP. We have set ourselves a target to increase this by $700 million to the economy by 2030. And so there are a number of actions we are taking, and we've articulated a number of them in the budget, and we're working on, and we've been working on before as well, to get us going. One of the first actions we need to take in Dominica, in order for us to get to that point, is to reduce on what we buy, imported things we buy into Dominica. There's absolutely no reason why any Dominican should buy imported watermelon in Dominica. There's no reason why anybody should buy cantaloupes. We can grow cantaloupes in Dominica. And so it is left to us, the consumers. The consumers, when people say, well, government should do this for agriculture, government should do that. The power in terms of transforming agriculture, the power in terms of creating wealth for farmers, reside in the hands of the consumer. So if you go to the supermarkets and you insist on the supermarkets that I want local stuff, they will stock up with local stuff. And so this is where we push in heavily, and also agro-processors, turning primary products into secondary and tertiary products, adding value to it. And there are so many people involved in this in Dominica. It's just amazing. Amazing the talent and the skills that we have in this country, that sometimes we don't showcase it. Because sometimes as human beings, we focus heavily on the negatives and not looking at the positives. And I always tell people, we say we are a Christian nation. And the Bible says, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be his name. So when we criticize for things that are not there, who are we really criticizing? What the Lord gives you, thank God. The Lord will provide. We are just here as instruments. Whether you're a medical doctor, or you're a farmer, or a teacher, or police officer, you're carrying out God's work. And so we have to be grateful for what we have. And look at this, the country. So many natural disasters. And sometimes I tell people, I feel like Job, that the good Lord is challenging me. So many disasters natural disasters that I've faced as Prime Minister of this country. 2004, 2007, 2010, 2013, 2015, 2017. And after Hurricane Maria, I went to the United Nations a few days later to address the world. And I held a town hall meeting with Dominicans in the tri-state area. And there were thousands of them there. And so I said, well, I know there are many people in Dominica and the diaspora who want to be Prime Minister of Dominica. Is there anybody who wants the job now? And nobody put their hand up, Nobody put his hand up. Nobody wants to be Prime Minister of Hurricane Maria because they said Dominica finished. Dominica dead. It going to take us 20 years to rebuild Dominica. And within 2 years, by the grace of God, we were standing. We were standing. So we have to be grateful for these blessings and so on. Many challenges. You had the global financial crisis from 2008 that lasted up until 2015. We were subjected to these things. And one can appreciate, if we were not affected by any hurricane or storm, and we were to use this money to address issues that were there in the country, where Dominica would have been now. And there are countries that have never seen a hurricane, never seen a storm, and they can't say they're better than us. We're not better than them, but they can't say they're better than us. I'm being told, I'm telling what people tell me. So I don't tell me it's a scary say. You know what it's a Yodi, Omondima, you know? That we have some of the best roads in the Caribbean. I mean, a country with so much rain, so many hills, so many valleys, so many landslides. And you will drive from Roseau to Penville, and you will not meet one pothole. Yeah. That wasn't always the case in Dominica. That wasn't always the case in Dominica. So we have to be grateful for these things happening in our country. So agriculture is going to be a major, continue to be a major thrust. For us, agriculture is number one. Because we must be able to feed ourselves. And we are producing, and we'll be increasing our exports. We are going to be providing support to Dexia to be able to buy more from the farmers and pay them on time. We're going to be providing support to the hucksters by bridge financing so that they can be able to pay the farmers on cash on delivery. And so that, because farmers, once you pay farmers on time, they will produce. And this is where we're trying to address the issue of how long it takes for farmers to get paid. You can't have a farmer waiting for 2 and 3 weeks to get paid. If you pay him cash on delivery, this farmer will not complain about anything. And so this is where we're providing the support. Expanding the poultry subsector, empowering people, diversifying agriculture in a huge way, using technology, using the advancement that we have to introduce, to promote hydroponics and greenhouse technology. The digital economy. If you look at the Labour Party's manifesto of 2019, you will see in there highly featured the digital economy. And we went on to show our seriousness in transforming the digital economy, because the reality is we have sent, as a government, thousands of young people to universities. Thousands. People who would have never seen the light of day of a university, we send them into school. Dominica, the reason why you feel Dominica so hot sometimes because we have so many degrees in the place. I mean, degrees. First degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, and so forth. Because of the government's education revolution. The reality is we're talking here as family and friends. This is not carried life, so we're not talking to the whole world. It's just us in the room here, so we can speak very candidly among each other. Nobody else listening to us. The reality is, back in the days, if you did not know somebody in the Ministry of Education, your child can get a scholarship. The only time in our history when ordinary working class Dominicans were able to go to university was when Rosie Douglas would go into villages and pluck out poor people and put them on planes and send them out to universities in Cuba and into Russia, Yugoslavia, and these places. That's the time. Because of the party's socialist connections at the time. But now, ordinary Dominicans, and many of them don't even owe the bank $1 because we paid for them. And sometimes only now we're delayed in payments because of the pandemic. When your revenue dropped by 45%, and you have to provide for income support to families, you have to help people with food and this, you have to do the maths. You know, the way we manage the finance in this country is no different from you as families, you know. That's your income. You have expenditure that you can't run away from. You can't run away your mortgage, because in America, my brother, when the bank tell you coming for your house, you know, Dominica, 20 years later, you're still in the house, you know. When the bank tells you, I am coming for your house on the 3rd of November at midday, if your belongings are not out by midday, a new padlock on it. You out. But here in Dominica, bank go and take your house, and 30 years later, you're still in the house sleeping. And so we have revolutionized and education and addressed an injustice of access to education. When we came into government, only 44% of primary school graduates had access to high school. You know, many of you here, bright people, you were smart, your sister was smart and doing well, and she did not go to secondary school, not because she did not pass the exams, but because before we sat the exams, the Ministry of Education knew how many children passed. I never see an exam like that, I don't understand this. Before you see the exams, they know you fail. So many of you went on to the United States, and you go to university, now you have PhDs and master's degrees. But you didn't go to high school in Dominica. I mean, are you hearing me? You know, the pastors like to say that, you know. The pastor will tell you, can I hear an amen? You know, so, and then, on top of that, only 7% of all secondary school graduates had access to the college. I attended grammar school, and in that year, we had 122 of us who completed grammar school. 122 of us. Now, grammar school, in those days, I believe might be the case still, was the premier secondary school in Dominica. But, well, you're there. This convent goes, Marshall convent there, you know, convent and so on. You know, I've seen Dr. Max out in SMA, you know. But out of 122 of us who graduated, only 20 of us made it to college. 20. So you can see the stark injustice in terms of, and the reality is you cannot build a country and you cannot get people out of poverty if you do not give them a sound educational skill. And so we've spent millions. And so when people say, well, what's Kerry do for Dominica? You don't see people have their degree and say, well, government give it to me. Most times when government help them, they won't say government help them. But the moment they look at pay late, well, what's Kerry doing? What's Kerry and so on, building international airport, and you can't send money for us to pay for school and so on. We have to work together and address this thing. So we have revolutionized the investments in agriculture. So I'm speaking about digital economy, that because we've spent so much money in education and we have to create more opportunities for young people, and the truth is, young men and young women, they want to dress nice to go to work. I went on a construction site, I was saying, and I met a young engineer there. That engineer is employed on the construction site, and she was well-dressed. You know what I'm saying? Well-dressed and so forth. People want to dress nice. And we have to continue to invest and to create opportunities for young people to get better paying jobs and more opportunities, and they can dress nice. Eyelashes and extensions and so forth. And let me tell you something. And this eyelashes business is big business in Dominica, I can tell you, man. Let me tell you. I am writing a little business plan to do a little private business, but I am only selling lashes. That's all. You know, and they come for their refills and so on. You know, so, you know, back in days when you go to school, people used to laugh at you when you had long eyelashes. So they used to laugh at me for long eyelashes. Now everybody wants long eyelashes. So we have to create opportunities for young people. And as a result of this, a couple of things I want to point out to you before I move on. One, the digital economy helped us in a dramatic way because of COVID and online learning. Because we had the infrastructure and we had the technology to get our children to continue to go to school even if they were not face-to-face. And our children did exceptionally well at the CXC exam. And the second point I want to draw to your attention, where we're talking about the high-paying jobs and people able to empower themselves. A significant number of Dominicans, young Dominicans, have been able to get jobs with international companies, working from their home in the villages, but being paid in US dollars by a US firm. And on average, I am told that some of these people make up to $800 US a week. A week. So they work. Many of them have their small business on the side. If they have children, they can take care of the children. If they have a grandparent, they can take a grandparent working here in Dominica remotely for an international firm. And this is the way that the world is going. And this is where Dominica's position itself. So we have contracted from the World Bank a loan of $75 million to invest in this. Talking about our seriousness, our commitment. So we're not only talking about things, we're walking the walk with the things, and we thank God for that. Small business development. You will go to the gardens, the TV Last Creole this afternoon, and many of you have been there, and you go around. What you see and the quality of the products from these people, all from local materials here in Dominica. You know, people adding value, and the quality of the product, the quality of the packaging is amazing. And this is just a minute fraction of what Dominica has in so far as small businesses. And so we invest in heavily in small businesses. We have helped to grants and soft loans. We now have about $27 million at the aid bank, providing loans at 3% to small business owners, you know, with a generous grace period, and dozens of young people, Dominicans, by and large, are going and access those loans. And so, you know, we are moving in terms of infrastructure. Timing is on our side to talk about the many investments. You drive from Castle Bruce to Hatton Garden through the Canago territory. The road is a little rocky, but we're spending $127 million there to improve the roads. New bridges, new surfacing, drainage, etc., etc., etc. You go to Layu Valley, you know, we were trying to reconnect from the Hillsborough Bridge all the way to Sultan, the junction there, to connect back to the airport, because that's a major driveway for us living on the West Coast. We're coming from the airport. We're spending in the first phase there some $18 million, and that will be completed towards the end of December. I don't have to go to health. Dr. Irvin McIntyre, who is an exceptional minister for health, who's helped us so dramatically. And what Dr. McIntyre told you on health, because time was of essence, he only gave you a snapshot of what we're doing, seeking to transform the health sector and ensure that our people can be provided for and taken care of in terms of health and wellness. And so, my dear friends, on top of all of these things, all these challenges, we have the issue of climate change. And this is why we have been so strident in the international community. We got to call in on the international community to play the part where climate change is concerned. And the reality is, we are on our own as small island states. Because the developed world will make promises that they never fulfill. 15 years ago in Copenhagen, the international community, the developed countries, made a pledge to us. A pledge that would help us build resilience, putting adaptation in place to mitigate against the impact of climate change, natural disasters. They made a pledge of $100 billion. $100 billion. To this day, they have not given us 1 cent. 1 cent. 1 cent. When we hear, if 15 years ago, we never talk about flooding in Dominica. Rain would fall for days, and it would go to the ravines and the rivers and go into the sea. But now in St. Lucia, in St. Vincent, in Grenada, Dominica, the mountainous Windward Islands, we have regular flash floods warning. That wasn't the case. Clearly, there has been a dramatic change in the climate caused by the practices of the developed world and their willingness, the unwillingness to commit into. So we go to Egypt next month. They will give some nice speeches. They will recommit themselves. They will tell you, well, you understand what you're going through, but it's just really platitudes. It's just, they in your presence, they'll be kind to you. But once they jump on the planes, they forget about you and you're on your own. You're on your own. And so you need to challenge your congressmen in the United States and in the United Kingdom and others in France and countries to play the part where this is concerned. So I invite you to join us, my friends, in this quest to build a stronger, more united, more prosperous nation. The strength of our nation, I believe, lies in the ability of its people to work together in harmony to increase growth and provide a better life and standard of living for all of us. And so I look forward to our continued interaction. We do not have all the ideas as to how to address Dominica's problems. We will embrace anyone and everyone who has a nationalist spirit, who is genuinely concerned about Dominica, and who is seriously interested in playing the part. I am here standing as the Prime Minister of the country. I will not always occupy this office. As a matter of fact, I have less time left in politics than many people believe. But we'll always have a country to build. And the question is, what is going on? When the good Lord comes back to judge the living and the dead, and he points you to the book of Matthew, you're going to ask, what have you done for the list of my brothers and sisters? That we criticize, we're negative. And so, the United States of America, a country that I have the greatest admiration for what they've been able to do by themselves, for themselves, was a colony of the United Kingdom. But the United States, the citizens of the United States of America, will always stand in defense of their own country. They will fight among themselves, but the moment you mention America, they all stand in defense of the country. They all stand in defense of the country. They all always have positive things to say when they speak to you. Why should we be different? This is not my country. This is my country. This is all our country. And if we want Dominica to be over there, are we just going to sit there and say, well, Dominica should be over there? Or are we going to say, what can I do? What's my contribution? And so the first order of business is for us to be positive and think positively about our country. Because when you preoccupy yourself with negativity, you will not be able to move. You will not be able to contribute constructively. And so I beseech you, I plead on behalf of the country that we need to have, and when I say you, and I'm not talking about those of us who are here, I'm talking the whole country, that we need to have a more positive perspective of our country. It's not perfect here, but Dominica has given us the foundation upon which we stand. And the way to show gratitude to it is by one being grateful to it by way of being positive. Yes, you can criticize, but criticism must be constructive. It must be to make something better. It must not be to denigrate. It must not be to destroy. It must not be to bring down. So if Scared is building an airport, the same people who said they wanted an airport are now saying we don't need an airport. We don't want an airport. My friends, please. You can say, well, you know, I don't like the roof, and the roof should be in this thing, or it has too much glass, and I think we should put this, or we should maybe extend the parking because, you know, we should build it for the future. 500 parking bays may not be enough. It should be 1,000, and so forth and so forth. This is how we engage ourselves. But we must not allow internecine political differences to cloud our judgment and so forth. I came to this office and to politics at age 27. I didn't come with any premeditated or otherwise. I came to make a contribution. People may not agree with me or like me for one reason or the other, but forget about me. Focus on Dominica. And direct our resources, our energy, our God-given talents to our country. And not personalities. And let us work together. So I invite you, with open arms, arms of love and affection to all of you as citizens of Dominica, that we need to recommit ourselves to our country. Let us be positive, because, you know, many of you have green cards and U.S. citizenship, but we just never know. You know, I try to treat people the way that I would like people to treat me. And I tell people, look, for example, the health care program, I'm the Prime Minister of the country, yes, but I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I may very well be a beneficiary of the health care program. I don't know. You never know. We up there, we can be down there. And this is why I continue, and I thank God for that, to continue to work with a greater sense of humility. So my request to all of us is that let us have a positive mind. Instead of promoting what is negative in our country, promote what is positive. Let us set a better example to our children. Let us set a better legacy for our children to follow a path of seriousness, a path of love, a path of positivity. Because if our children hearing us talking so negative in the homes, what are we going to have? Socialization starts at the house, in the home. And then we hear our children now start cursing us, and we say, well, where did I get that from them? Hello? So I am really appealing to you. It's going to be a wonderful season. Wonderful season, you know, lots of activities. I urge you to enjoy yourselves there. You know, please do not go back with any money you came back with. This thing of you please. And I don't hear what the money come and we finish. No. You have debit cards, you have credit cards, we have ATMs all over the place. Just spend. Spend. Buy. Just the clothes you came down with, the suitcases, leave all the clothes in Dominica and fill them with gifts, Dominican gifts, and take back to America. You know what I'm saying? Take back to America. So spend the money. Spend. Just don't want change. Oh, you break the 100 US. You know. Just spend. So that's my challenge to you. If there's anything you remember I said today, is spend while you're in Dominica. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Prime Minister. I hope you remember that. And if you have any difficulty with your cards, NBD is here, NCCU is here. They can always assist you in getting more of your money. So thank you very much to the Honorable Prime Minister for these highlights on our ongoing development. At this time, as we wrap up, we would like to invite Ms. Athenia Benjamin, Diaspora Coordinator, to give some closing remarks.
Good morning, good afternoon. It's afternoon. Your Excellency, Honorable Charles Salvary and his wife, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mr. Isaac, Honorable Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerritt, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Kenneth Daru, Minister for National Security, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for Health, Honorable Irvin McIntyre, Ministers of Government, PSs, Dominicans from the Diaspora, thank you very much for coming. It's indeed a pleasure to have you here. Honorable Prime Minister, thank you very much for the recognition. I will do my utmost best to make you proud and to make Dominicans in the Diaspora a household name as we work together to do our best for Dominica. Technology and glasses when you get older. Today is a great day. Everyone present here this morning should have a reason to give thanks to the Almighty, to Jah, Allah, Jehovah, whichever name you call him, for sparing our lives and granting us the opportunity to gather here after such a challenging couple of years. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, Dominica, thank you for steering us through some of the most difficult times in our recent history, disaster after disaster, and then a global pandemic. For always including Dominicans who reside abroad in the government's national agenda. You continuously express to all the importance of our overseas national contribution in the development of Dominica. This is why you invest your time to share here with the Dominican diaspora what is going on, what our progress is, what we intend to do, and what we are doing. Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, Minister for Health, your responsibility as the Minister for Diaspora, well, he was health, so he's always close. The Minister responsible for Diaspora Relations. You have taken up the mantle after our deceased comrade, Ed Regis, I just have to mention him, left us so tragically. And we thank you for articulating your plans for the Dominican diaspora and for the policy, diaspora policy paper that we intend to have soon. Honorable McIntyre, Minister for Health. Almost immediately after taking the responsibility as our Minister for Health, you were thrown into the management of a health crisis that we, in a health crisis, especially the COVID-19, you and your team provided routine updates which kept us abreast of the situation. I firmly believe that all the protocols which your team encouraged us to adhere to helped Dominicans who lived abroad with coping with the challenges of this pandemic. You have, at this forum, provided everyone with correct information of our health situation, the continuous improvement of our medical facilities, all the work we hope will encourage you, the diasporans, to visit Dominica often, to vacate, and to even reside. Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, thanks for your presentation and for letting all the diasporans here know that the government have provided for you easy access to obtain your e-passport right here at this forum. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your presentation on the international airport, for giving Dominicans who are listening here and who are listening on our social media platforms all the information that is needed to know, they need to know about the international airport. We have heard so many stories about, negative stories, but you have highlighted the progress that is taking place in Wesley, my village. I got to big up Wesleyans. And you have done so in such a manner that every Dominican, regardless of their level of intelligence, will be able to understand. To everyone present, watching on live stream or listening via our social media platforms, we appreciate you spending your time with us. This forum is one of the highlights on our independence celebration. The government have invested the time to share and update all Dominicans of our progress and plans. I encourage you to enjoy all that was done in preparation for your arrival. Take advantage of the warm climate, as you will soon return to the cold. And as the PM stated, spend, Do not return with anything that you brought. Bring up your gifts, and at the tea village, I'm not a patois person, I speak Kokoi. So if you can go over and you will be able to purchase almost anything you need as a gift to your co-workers and to invite them to come to Dominica and participate in what it is we have here. We are the Nature Isle of the Caribbean, and we are proud of that, and thank you, each and everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Benjamin. At this time, we would like to share with you a brief video on the international airport as a follow-up to the presentation from Mr. Johnson. Can everyone see the screen? Thank you very much to the team who put this rendering of the International Airport together. I'm sure you are looking forward to coming home in 2026. At this time, we'll invite all of our very seasoned Calypsonians, multiple-time Calypso King, Hunter, to give us a performance.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. All right, today I'm going to give you two numbers, one of which is a very new song, and the title is Welcome to My World. Bienvenue. Hey. Could you pump me up a little bit, please? Just give us some volume. This is a festive season, you know. Could you pump me? Sing me. Come down, down. Lord, give me. Have you ever seen a girl as beautiful as my world? Ooh la la, dear darling. She is beautiful, she is slim. She's my heartbeat, she's my cream. Ooh la la, dear darling. Ooh la la. Open doors, ready to welcome you. Outstretched arms, ready to embrace you. Welcome to my world. Experience home and away from home. Welcome to my world. Where you'll feel love and alone. Welcome to my world. The warmth of the people could grip you. Welcome to my world. The vibes of the people could hug you. Welcome to my world. My world. Welcome to my world. Give me something. Mr. President. Give me. September. Happiest place to live, healthiest place to breathe. Ooh la la. Our abundance of water makes she a true survivor. Dear darling, our wellness makes she supreme. Her beauty makes she a cream. Welcome to my world. Experience home and away from home. Welcome to my world. Where you'll be loved and loved alone. Welcome to my world. The warmth of the people could melt you. Welcome to my world. The vibes of the people could charm you. Welcome to my world. My world. Welcome to my world. Give me something cool from my day. Next you. See with it. From day. Welcome. Yes. You know this is the independence season. And we have to be proud of where we come from every time. This is your song. We are now in a new millennium. Time we come together and start to build our small nation. But we have to face the reality of some of the problems we have right now affecting we. Double standard killing the whole country. While I'm preaching division and enmity, the force and the fight will take us nowhere. So let us make a new commitment this year. Instead we get on as enemy, high time we work now as family. One flag, we are one blood, one people, one nation. I know we are one flag, one blood, one people, one nation. We got to work together as a family in order to build our small country. Instead of you pulling there and I'm pulling here, come along, like we do some nation building, some nation building, nation building. We got to forget them petty politics. Dominica is what we should try to fix. Instead of you backbiting and you gossiping, come with me, like we do some nation building, some nation building, nation building. Everybody should sing. I know we are one hallelujah. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Hunter for this performance of one of our national songs right now, One Flag. At this time, before we leave, I would just like to inform you that the Ministry of Agriculture, along with some of our local farmers, are displaying a number of fruits and vegetables and other local items on the grounds. And I also think they have some complimentary fruits on ice awaiting you on the outside. This is a dialogue, and we would like to give an opportunity for a few of you who would have a few questions for the cabinet ministers, for the prime minister, those at the head table, to do so at this time. We have a mic that we can pass around. So we're going to give you an opportunity, if anyone has any questions now, to do so. So I see one hand. Can you come to the... Okay, so we have three. We'll take 3 questions at a time. We don't have much time. I know you are hungry and would like to go to the TV Village, but this is a dialogue, so we'd like to hear from you. The mics, please. Can you move to the center of the aisle? Questions, comments, observations. So if you would like to speak, just move to the center of the aisle and someone will assist you with a microphone. All right, you can go ahead with your question.
Hello. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon to the Prime Minister and the members of the government. I have returned to Dominica. I've relocated to Dominica recently. I haven't lived away since 1969, but visited almost every single year. Always happy to be back in Dominica. One of the questions I have is something that has troubled me for a little while. I have 3 children, and one of them was born in Dominica. The other 2 were born before independence. They would very much like to acquire passports, but I believe the regulations for children who were born before independence are totally different from those born after independence. And I was wondering why, because the same offspring, I'm a Dominican, and I was wondering why it is that they are required to live in Dominica in order to acquire a passport when they are the offspring of a Dominican. Is there any reason why that rule has not been changed recently, so that Dominica, in my opinion, really needs to have a much bigger population? So it would be nice to encourage more people to return to Dominica. And this is a deterrent, to be told that you actually have to come to live in Dominica. I have one daughter who lives in China. The other one lives in Atlanta area. My son was born here, so he can acquire a passport, but my daughters cannot unless they live here, which is very inconvenient at the time of the age, with the situations as young people. I was wondering if that could be something that Mr. Scarrett could definitely think about and change for us. Okay, I have one more question, very quick question. Why is it that we gave passport pictures that were colored and everyone has come back in black and white? Is there a reason why our passports pictures are black and white, whereas the colored picture portrays more of the person as far as the color of their eyes, the skin tone, if they've got a mole, but now all the pictures are in black and white. Is there a reason for that? Why colored pictures, my American or British passport, Canadian passports, they're all in color, but ours are supposedly up to date and modern passports, and yet the pictures are in black and white. It might seem like a very silly question, but I was just wondering why.
Okay, thank you very much. And we are taking 3 questions, so we'll take the other 2 individuals.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Helen Thomas. I live in Castle Comfort now. For the past 20 years, I'm living here permanent, but I always come and go. But now I'm living here permanent. And what I want to ask the Prime Minister, he promised me a couple of years ago in a meeting in Newtown that I have a road they call Castle Comfort. And the word that call it Castle Comfort and Wall House. That road, I was told it was a private road, but after that they said it's a government road. And you promised that time you will fix that road. I'm living there, I'm disabled, I can't get out much, and I believe that you promise you will fix that road, and more it's getting worse and worse. I cannot get out now. It's very hard to drive in that road. It's like a river. So when am I going to get that road done before I died? Because I need that road terrible, because I cannot walk now, I'm disabled. And I cannot walk in that road. I try to drive in that road, and it's very, very difficult because there is no road there now. So when am I going to see that road done?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. We will take the answers in a while.
Yeah, and another thing, I renewed my passport about 3 years ago, Dominican passport, and now I heard that you have to change it again. So what do I have to do? Just fill the form? And
so we'll answer the question.
So I need to renew it then?
Yes.
You went 3 years ago?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But the immigration department is right there, so they can assist you. Okay, let's take the last person in line.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Nina Brumant, and I arrived here yesterday from St. Croix, driving from Melvin Hall, Douglas Charles to Roseau. I was impressed with the road. Now, from in St. Croix, we have a circle, a group of friends, and so we come together, we discuss Skerrit, we discuss the government, and so on and so forth. So they told me when I go to ask certain questions, but I see, because of time, I will only ask one question. I have a question and a solution that they want to bring to the government. It's about the housing project. This is a good project, but what they're saying to that thing can bring income to the country instead of giving people free houses. You know, they are really against that. It is not a good concept and so on. So anyway, what we are suggesting is that the elderlies or people who cannot afford, you can give them the free houses. And the other people, I think they said they are young people, people who can work, and they're getting free houses. So with that, they're suggesting, do research, evaluate these people, and if they can pay for the houses, let them pay a small rent. And something else that was mentioned, if let's say hypothetically, the house costs $1,000, $100,000, give it to them for $50,000 and let them pay the rent as they go along, what they can afford, $100, $200 a month, until they reach that $50,000 and the house is theirs, you can give them their papers. Now those that cannot pay, especially the elderly, when they die, that house should go to another elderly, somebody who cannot pay. That should not belong to to the people living in there. The house should not be given free.
All right, thank you. So we have 3 questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. With regards to the question that was asked, where friends, the offspring of somebody who was naturally born in Dominica, the age is there, but subject to the age's intervention. Upon attaining independence, if you go back to the Constitution, it says immediately before and thereafter, 1978. And we also sought a legal opinion on that within the ministry. We seem to suggest that Of course, as you know, the laws of a country is organic, and you can always review the law. But as it's obtained right now, there is nothing I can do as a minister or somebody within the immigration department. Huh? Yeah, right. Okay, with regards to having applied for a passport, or you had a passport 6 years ago, if you are applying now for a passport, you shall be issued with an e-passport. It doesn't matter how long you had the old passport for, you have to apply for a new one. You know what I'm saying? Now the other question is, in terms of the black and white element of your picture, that doesn't compromise the security aspect of it. As you heard me I said this morning, that you have a microchip, electronic chip, that contains all the personalized information of someone. It's personalized, your facial information, etc., your biodata of that passport, the date of birth, etc., age, etc., etc., etc. And if you look at the passport, you will see that there's a colored element to it. Not the picture itself, but towards the chip. And I've had most of the countries who have actually changed their passports send samples to us. I have seen multiple samples of e-passport that are similar to what we have in Dominica. And these are first world countries. So I do not think that because the picture is black and white, that the security aspect of it is compromised. I hope my answer helps. One last thing I'd like to say, I've been started with a number of questions saying, if I applied for my passport 3 months ago, or 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, why should I pay for a new one? Okay? The question is, let me just say that, and don't take me wrongly, that the passport is the property of the state. For a matter of fact, whoever the minister is can take the passport away from you if the passport was obtained by fraudulent means. If you lied about something, legally the minister can do that. So there's a property of the state. So you're paying a fee to actually hold the property of the state. So let it be known that even if you had a passport like anybody else, 5 years ago, the question of refund is a no-no. Okay? You have to pay the fee for it, $150 if you're an adult. If you're 16 and below, $75. All right? It's very cheap. It's very cheap. We're not increasing it, okay? So thank you very much. I hope I answer the question. Thank you very much.
As I say to my friend, I know the section of the road very well. But prior to that, we needed to have done work on the main section of the road. So we spent a significant amount of money on both the Castle Comfort end and the Wallhouse end. On the main road, where we built these concrete roads, major and massive retaining walls were constructed. Just in the Castle Comfort section, from when you're coming up going to Girodale, just in this Castle Comfort section, we spent over $4 million in that section. And we spent quite a number of millions on Wallhouse side. From Lube going up, as you know, this road was very bad. So the idea was to tackle the main roads so that everybody could benefit and then come into the interior roads. We have gone to tender for your section of the road. The Ministry of Public Works has 3 bids, and I believe they're in the process of selecting that contractor for that road. So you're next in line, Granny, so very soon So I think all things considered, we might be able to start sometime in November, December, God's willing, on this section, and so that you can take your exercise on that road in the morning and the evening and so forth. So it's not that we forgot you. Does that we have to take it by step, process, but we're coming to you very soon. To my friend from who lives in the USVI, I agree with part of what you said. So there's no disagreement on that. We do agree that people should pay something for the homes. And we're reviewing the policy on this, and that will be looked at. and so that people can make a contribution towards these buildings and so forth. So we don't disagree with you at all, but it is a very progressive policy. We've built hundreds of homes and housed hundreds of families, and we maintain all this same quality across the country. As we speak, we have about 600 homes under construction, and I've just mandated another 300 to be constructed in various parts of the country. In Granby alone, for Jubic residents and Granby residents, we're building about 100 homes there. Modern design, resilient homes for the folks there, and in Paybush, and in Penville, and Vickers, and Canefield, and Soufriere, Scott's Head, Point Michel, right across the country, Woodfordale, right across the country, we're building homes and so forth. Because, as Dr. McIntyre indicated, housing is an important element to addressing poverty and, and ensuring that people can live in dignity and so forth. So at the time, the preoccupation was to house people, and you think of the conditions later. So that was the preoccupation. I think we've gotten to a point where we have housed a significant percentage of the homeless, or the houseless people, not homeless but houseless people, and we're now reviewing the policy to tweak it inconsistent to what you have suggested. And so thanks, for that. And we're in parallel with regards to your suggestion and so forth. Okay, sure. I think that's it for me. Excuse me. Well, I think the minister responded to that. To that issue with regards to the passport, so I think that was done. But we can always have a chat with you on a particular circumstance and give you clarification. So AG will have a chat with you after. Okay? Thank you, my dear. And of course, nice to have you back. Full time in Dominica since 1969. You come every year, but you're back here full time with us. You live here now. That's great, and all of you come back and live here.
Okay. We'll take 3 more questions because we would like to have lunch at TV Lash. Go ahead, yes.
Good afternoon. Permit me, please. I've got 3 questions.
Can you?
I've got 3 questions. One, it's been 15 years now since I'm living in the Virgin Islands. And one of our hurdles are, first, there are many people now who are in St. Thomas in particular who would like to be here with us, and they cannot travel. There are 2 circumstances. One, Air Sunshine, who used to take you directly to Dominica, doesn't travel anymore. One. Unfortunately, the owner got a stroke, and I think he got a heart attack and he died. Fortunately, he wasn't flying the plane at the time. So all the people on board that flight would have been perished. Leah doesn't travel except on a Sunday. Okay? And I know for sure right now there are people who would like to be here and they cannot travel. They cannot, because no flights, direct flights from St. Thomas to Dominica. Fortunately for me, I am here for a couple of months now, so I was lucky. Mr. Prime Minister, you mentioned about disasters since you are the Prime Minister of Dominica. I remember many of them, first in 2004 when we had the earthquake, 2015, 2017, but you did not mention the first disaster between 1995 to 2000 and the UWP. That was a big disaster. Now, one of the things I listened to, and I know for a fact where I live in St. Thomas, the use and the amount of income that comes through the cable car that they have. And constructing the cable car here, especially in the area that is going to be, it's a very productive move and will bring a lot of income, not only to Dominica, but the people who live in the immediate vicinity. Those are the 3 questions I have, and I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Vilna Henry. I travel back and forth. I'm getting ready to come right back in a few years. 3 concerns. They don't necessarily need to be answered today, but if someone could just look into it, that would be great. I would like to have someone look into how long it's taken for wills to be confirmed in the court system. We were affected by COVID in our family last year, and we've been waiting. There are no challenges to the will, and we have assets to get rid of, and we can't because the will is not yet confirmed. Are there any plans to improve my walking experience around the Roseau? And 3, in the past, I know the government has addressed the customer service issue in Dominica. In too many places, if you don't know someone, time is wasted. You get directions to complete forms or to do a process, and it's not complete. You have to come back again. And that really is a deterrent, and we would really like for something to be done about that. I love my country. I will die for it. I will not allow anyone to criticize it. Anything I'm asking is for our development.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon.
Friends, family, people in diasporas. A lot of friends of mine sitting here today. I've been living out of Dominica for 40 years, but it seems like I'm still in Dominica because I'm always here. Every 4 to 5 months I'm here. I invested in Dominica. I started water sport in Portsmouth. My name is Connie Dupuy, better known as Good Living. The name of my water sport is Good Living Water Sport. I also have a flea market, and I'm doing this not for myself, but more or less to create employment for my people in my hometown specifically. I would say I've been trying my best to put this the way I really want it to be. And unfortunately, I have some obstacles. One of them is being on the beach in Portsmouth. I keep building a little shack on the beach in Portsmouth, and the seawater has been damaging it every time I put it up. And it's been 3 years going on, I would say April will make it 4 years. I've been trying to lease a piece of property on the east side of Purple Turtle Beach, because that would enhance the area with what I intend to do, where I'll be creating employment, and at the same time, I'll be entertaining the locals as well as tourists. I have pictures with me right now. I can present to anybody in here of the type of business I do on the beach. And it's been a setback for me. It's just, I've been going through all sorts of stuff to get it going, and it's just not coming through. Now, I'm one of the real patriotic Dominicans, because it's been 9 going on 10 years. I spend money from my pocket, and I paint the Lago Bridge to the east and the Para Bridge to the west on my own, without asking for any help. The Indian River Bridge was a mess. The rails was terrible. And I got a call while living in the US that people wants to join me to paint that bridge, because I'm the one who always does it whenever I'm here. Thanks God for Mr. Roland Royer. I had a sitting with him. We spoke, and we get that bridge on the way. We get the rails changed. I scraped the sides. I started painting, but due to the weather conditions, it's deterring me real bad. So my question is, I just want to know when and how soon I can get the help that I need to get this going.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. You know, the issue of inter-island travel is a challenge for every country, from Suriname in the south to Jamaica in the north. And I think people are now appreciating, in respect to the Eastern Caribbean and the Southern Caribbean in particular, the importance of LIAT. And you recall that when we took a decision to invest in LIAT, we were heavily criticized for investing in LIAT. And now LIAT is gone and everybody wants LIAT back, you know. And so it is something that continues to preoccupy the discussions at the CARICOM level. I was just in Antigua last night, meeting the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and that we spoke on this for some time, on LIAT and ensuring that we can bring something back that could play some part. But we're all missing LIAT now, and the Caribbean economy is seriously impacted because of interregional travel. It is impossible, almost impossible, as the Prime Minister of Grenada was saying to me, to get from Grenada to Trinidad. You know, the flight comes once a week. You know, to get to St. Kitts, say from Dominica, it is better you fly to Miami and then fly across to St. Kitts next day. And that's what a lot of people are using, the Miami route. But the reality is many people don't have US visas. And so tourism is being impacted by the lack of flights, and it's something that preoccupies our minds. The issue of how long it takes for wills to be probated, obviously sometimes there are individual circumstances, but what we have done in terms of a broader policy decision to address the issue of title, registration, etc., we separated the Supreme Court from the land registration, and how we have a registrar of titles. So that registrar deals solely with probating of wills and titles and etc. So I'm sure the minister will have a chat with you and put you in touch with the relevant person there to find out why is it that your will is taking place. And this is why we did it, because we understand the importance of getting titles registered quickly and wills probated, so that those assets can come into the economy and benefit the economy. So we can have a chat with you and see what happens from there. The working experience in Roseau, as you know, we have this Roseau Enhancement Project. We have been hampered by two things. One, of course, with COVID-19, but more recently, the service providers. Because as you know, we'll be putting the electrical lines underground, so to the cables for television, etc., telephone. But these service providers are not quite ready for us. And so we have been engaging them in discussions for an extended period of time. So what I have said to the Minister for Public Works is that we should proceed with the project, put the infrastructure for them, and once they're ready, they'll be able to run their lines, and rather waiting for them to get the act together. And I'm not necessarily criticizing them, I'm just giving you the facts of the matter. So we'll put the underground ducts in place, and when they're ready, they'll be able to run the lines without having to dig up the road again. So you have to avoid digging up the road. So that's the issue. Because the idea was to, and so when you walk in the first street we're going to be doing is Great Judge Street. Great Judge Street. That's a road that takes you out of town onto the West Bridge. Australia, you know that. You know Australia. Australia doesn't know Roseau well, you know. So it takes you out of Roseau, and then the second bridge we'll do is Independence Street, and then King George V Street, the main streets. So a contract has been signed for that works. But the idea was to remove all of these electrical lines and build resilience and also the aesthetics of it, etc. So you'll be able to walk from King George V Street, the junction there by Orchard, and get all the way to the bridge without going up and down. You understand? The whole idea is to get you to walk on one surface. So when you walk from the bayfront to the police headquarters, there will not be the up and down idea of covering all the drains, proper sidewalks, so that people with disabilities can enjoy the movement in the city and so forth. So we unrefute this. Customer service, we have to keep talking about this, Too many people below, when you come into a business, that you're bothering them, and what you come there for again, I mean, that kind of thing, and not recognizing that more people who come to you is more business for you. And we have to build that culture of service and respect and understanding that we are servants of the people and not their masters, and we can't be indifferent to people. So it's a constant battle. I think we've seen some improvements in some areas, but it's like an octopus, when you cut one tentacle, it goes back, and so you have to keep this and continue training and so forth. And I think at the school levels, I believe that we're doing too many subjects at primary school and secondary school, and we should focus on more fundamentals of life. And I think we need to impart this kind of attitudes in children at school, at kindergarten and early childhood institution, primary school, so that we know how to relate to each other with respect, and we have to try to inculcate that in the minds of the children, so that we have the new generation coming up will have sort of a different attitude. The reality is we're more of an agrarian society. We don't believe in service. You ask somebody, they have juice, they have a whole thing of juice in the fridge, they'll just finish because they don't want to serve you, and so forth. And so it's a constant challenge. I think there's some improvement, but we have to continue doing this. The GP will have to meet with you and talk. This is Social Security land, so I cannot tell you, well, we'll give you a list, because Social Security is a different entity by itself. It has its own law and its own processes. So I think the issue Social Security has is that there's so many people who have made requests for leases that they do not want to go and hatch out the land in too many small pieces, and then it makes the rest of the hundreds of acres that they have redundant, unable to be marketed and sold. Because I'm very careful where the DSS land is concerned, because this is for pensioners, and the integrity of the DSS has to be maintained, so that and whenever they're selling, they must get the best value for the lands, because that's what they're going to be using to pay for people who are retired and so forth. So, but we will clearly we can't discuss it out in open like this. We've taken note of your point. We'll get hold of you, and we'll see you after the independence, so that we can understand better your request. I know what you're doing. I've seen what you're doing. I mean, it's great. It's a great addition to the tourism product. It's an attraction that's needed, and where and if we can facilitate your request, then certainly it's something that we're open to doing. But we'll see you immediately after the independence, so we can take it forward and so on. But that's excellent stuff you're doing there, and the painting of the bridges, superb. Thank you for that. I think these are all my questions for now. The rest of the time we have here in Dominica is to enjoy ourselves. Thank you very much, my friends. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to the Honorable Prime Minister and to all of our ministers and our guests who are here today. Please feel free to move over to the Botanic Gardens for tea village. There's lunch. And also on the outside, the Ministry of Agriculture booth, there are some fruits available for you from our local farmers. And as the Prime Minister said earlier, spend your money at the tea village at all of the booths, and lunch can be purchased at the tea village as well. There are a number of food booths. Please.
Conclusion of the Diaspora Dialogue for 2022, a very progressive dialogue between the Dominicans living overseas and the government of Dominica. We heard some profound statements and information from various ministers of government. We heard earlier on from Dr. Darrow giving the welcome remarks, who is the Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business and the Diaspora Relation.
And then there will also be remarks from the Honorable Dr. Irwin McIntyre, Minister for Health, Wellness and New Health Investment.
And Mr. McIntyre, Dr. McIntyre was able to give quite a lot of information in reference to the issue of health. He spoke on the 12 primary modern health centers around the country. And he's also indicated that there are some 3 others that are being under construction. One soon will be commissioned, which is the Seven Pie area, St. Joseph and Roseau Central. He also spoke of the services of the Ministry of Health. He also mentioned about environmental health and the promotion unit of the Ministry of Health.
What I think we should do, though, maybe a program on DBS Radio, because there is so much more that we don't know about the health. You know, let's say the hospitals and the clinic and the equipment that they have, and I think people should know that, especially people who think that we don't have the equipment for the health service.
Yes, he gave us a very short journey of the Ministry of Health, which was for me very informative, and I think, as you rightly said, that so much more information to the general public in Dominica should be a little bit much more informed. So I think the Ministry of Health, through its promotion unit, should really start doing so much more promotion as to the works of the Ministry of Health. We also heard the Honorable Blackmore, who is the Minister for National Security and Home Affairs. He spoke quite a lot on e-passport and the rationale for the e-passport, which was very important, and even speak of the people in the diaspora, more so in the Caribbean, as to how they can also take advantage of the e-passport.
Yes, and one of the things that you're saying, I'm sure people are wondering, are the fees going to be up? But he says up to this present time, the fees will not be up. It will still be what it was when they started at $150, and on the 16, $75.
We also heard from a presentation from Mr. Samuel Johnson, the CEO of the International Airport Development Company. He spoke quite a lot on the terminal drop-off. He made mention of the geotechnic study ongoing. He also mentioned of the update terminal facade and parking. He also mentioned of the front terminal parking and the view of how the views from various people. He also made mention, as I said, in reference to the terminal drop-off. He spoke of on the apron, which is of great importance to quite a number of people. He indicated what kind of international planes that will be coming in, as we call them, jets. He also mentioned about the checking-in area at the new terminal. He spoke about baggage claim area and the site office progress, how that has been done, and quite a number of other information that he was able to give.
He also mentioned too that there will be rooms at the hotel, the airport, for the custom officers, the people who work at the airport. And this is not a thing that we have right now. I mean, usually they maybe would live maybe in the village or if they live in the town, to drive through after they have finished work. But this time he says it will be comfortable for them that some of the workers, especially in customs and immigration, should be able to stay.
And we saw and heard the feature address by the Honorable Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, who spoke profoundly. In his introduction, he did mention about the rediscover, talk to the diasporans about the rediscover of the homeland Dominica. He spoke about the engagement in the development of Dominica, that he's happy that they are here, that they can engage. He said that they would like to have a frank discussion. He spoke as to how to tap in the skills of those Dominicans living in the diaspora for further or future development of Dominica. He said that he would want to hear the ideas for the development of Dominica, but also to he spoke quite a lot about the issue of renewable energy, more so the geothermal. And he spoke on the international airport. He gave a history of prior to the international airport, that when he came in at the age of 27, became prime minister at 41, and
Yes.
he indicated that there wasn't any night landing. And today there's night landing, and they're now talking about the expansion of the airport and the beautification of the airport and what the view would be like in reference to the international airport. He spoke quite profoundly on the whole issue of the international airport.
But he also spoke, he said words to the fact that, I mean, sometimes we don't look behind to see where we are going. And there's so many things, like even in the airport, there was never any night landing. And through his government, they were able to do that. So there have always been some improvement on the Douglas Charles Airport.
And he was able to explain to Dominicans in reference to the MMC's arrangement for the building of the international airport, and that he, as the head of the government, would not want to have generations now or generations in the future to really have themselves spending or having to pay back for the international airport.
And he spoke about the longest cable car that will be taking people up to the Boiling Lake, and then everybody was so happy to know that. He also stated that sometimes you have the elderly or maybe someone disabled will not be able to walk, but then people have a choice to walk or to take the cable, and I think a lot of people were happy to hear this.
He also spoke on agriculture and said that agriculture actually contributes about $300 million to the GDP, and that he admonished Dominicans to eat much more than what they grow, and so those persons over there applaud that and wanting to really see us as a people do much more in buying what is ours.
And then he also cautioned, or in fact, I would say advised, that we reduce on some of the things that we buy. Because, for instance, if you want to buy a bottle of water and it is that expensive, or maybe something, let us say like a fruit, like a cantaloupe and stuff like that. He said those things can be, those fruits can be grown in Dominica, and what we have to do is to just, maybe eat what we grow.
And he spoke about the whole concept of Dominica's development in the digital economy, and that he expounded quite a lot as to what the digital economy is actually doing and will help in terms of Dominica's development. He did make mention of small business development. He spoke about grants and also spoke about soft loans where they can go to the aid bank and actually get soft loans at as much as 3%. Yeah. He also made mention of the infrastructure that his government is actually investing in the development of Dominica. And almost in his conclusion, he spoke about promoting Dominica,
yes,
taking Dominica serious,
yes,
looking at what Dominica is, what Dominica has made them to be, and how they too in return they can do their critique, but let us do it in a positive way that people from outside can really see what Dominica is really like. He made mention heavily about the United States and its citizens, how they would make noise among themselves, but
when it comes to their country,
they defend their country.
They defend their country. Yes, he really spoke about that, about people being negative about our own country. I mean, there are times you can give advice or you can critique, but it doesn't have to be sounding like it's just, everything is just negative in Dominica. And so I was really glad. I mean, that is not much. What did you say? There's a few people, I would say, put it that way, although the hall was full, who came from abroad just to be here for this anniversary. And they too, what are you saying? Right. They too, some of them mentioned that when they came, they saw things that they did not hear of before. So coming to Dominica now was really like an eye-opener for them. And the people in the diaspora must know that, you can't blame them because sometimes they hear so much negative, they don't know what to think. So we just advise, just come down to Dominica sometime and just, take a look at Dominica.
And it's of great importance, and today the large audience that was here from the diaspora, I'm sure that if not all, who would have heard of the negatives would have a different perspective now as to what Dominica is and where Dominica is heading. Because each of the presenters here this morning into the afternoon really gave a good account as to how Dominica development is actually shaping and how we would want to see Dominica for the future and for future generation. But we concluded with some questions. We had some 6 persons who actually asked questions, relevant questions, and each of the questions were given answers. And I'm sure that each of the people who got the answers were elated and satisfied with the answers given. One was actually told that she would maybe need to speak together with the Attorney General to get a somewhat of an accurate answer towards her situation.
And then we have from the Virgin Islands, yes, and Totola, the lady from St. Croix, who spoke about maybe the people who are getting homes should at least contribute something, pay something back to the state, and maybe the elderly who maybe are not working, they could have the homes for free, but then if they pass, it should be passed on to another elderly. And the Prime Minister say, well, you know, she's making some points and they will talk about it in the time.
And the Prime Minister himself, you know, gave justification for the beginning of the program, why it was the way it has started, and looking at the future. And so the Prime Minister is very clear as to really helping those not home, but houseless. And really today that there are many more people who are much more satisfied, who are houseless, much more satisfied with the facility, with the kind of homes that have been given to them, 2, 3, and 4 bedroom houses.
Yes, and then the Isa Joseph, we call him Palo, he spoke about getting from St. Thomas to Dominica, how difficult it is. Because we had Air Sunshine and I think Express Air. Those are the planes that I really travel on. And I've been wondering, because I have to get back, you know, and I don't know how I'm even going to go back. Because if they're not really working on a regular basis, and one of the ways I would travel would be from Dominica to Tortola, take the ferry, and then go into St. Thomas. So, you know, and Liat only operates on a Sunday.
Well, I have to say that we have to leave because soon from now, as a matter of fact, we are into the time of our general announcement, our community development announcement. Our community announcement. We have seen that Cabinet will be moving to the T Village Creole for lunch, and they have invited the audience here to go to T Village Creole themselves to purchase and to get other things. So I just want to say to all the listeners of DBS Radio and the viewers on our YouTube page, just want to say to you, thank you very much for staying in tune with DBS Radio as we bring it to you. Our technician on duty, Dean Thomas, Chief Tech, and that of Aaron Wilshire, who himself assisted in the technical viewing for our many viewers. And to you, Josette, I want to say thank you for being on the broadcast.
Well, it was good being on the broadcast, and I learned a lot more, even if I live here now. And I would just like to tell everyone to have a safe day. If you're in Dominica, especially, just stay safe, you know, drive safely and enjoy the independence.
And just want to tell the listeners, on the 1st of November, DBS will be celebrating 51 years. And I just want to ask listeners to keep on tuning. Stay tuned on the 1st of November because there is going to be a surprise.
Wow. Very
nice. So we'll
nice.
go back across to Master Control in Studio 1, Kimara E2.